Hey everybody, what's going on? Happy Sunday, happy NFL Week 12, and welcome to the RotoGrinders Fantasy Draft Morning Wood. Merrick Crane. I'm joined by Big T and Hoop. Tony, how we doing, brother?
Doing good. I mean, anytime I can wake up in the morning and see you two sexy beasts, I'm in a good mood. Yeah, I mean, you got no hockey hat on. We're doing good this week. We're moving in the right direction, baby.
Good start. Keep it down.
I mean, yeah, sure. Yeah, don't pull that up too far now. You might get me real excited.
Also joining us, Hoop Talk for a minute. I'm sitting out at 2. How you doing?
You guys coming in strong with a lot of energy this morning. I was on the opposite end. I'm moving slow, but I mean, I'm starting to feel the blood flowing a little bit. I mean, Crane, you came in amped up. Tony came in with a solid, one-liner right off the get-go. So things are looking good for the Wood Crew this morning. And we got a nice full NFL slate. So it's a good day, boys. Good day.
Always good to have a full slate.
Yes.
It's about to be a good week too, because we got the Thanksgiving slate coming up next week, and of course, we don't have a show before that. They should be hiring.
We might have to look into that.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, come on, Thanksgiving slate is straight up money. But
we might have to get Crane for his debut on the Wood, or not the Wood, the Print Factory. Do a little Print Factory before that one.
Hey, y'all you haven't even asked. I'm just.
That's because we always got the Wood. We can't double book things. We'll be saying the same stuff.
That's a fair point. All right, Tony, what do you think about this slate, man?
I think it's like the first one all year that's a little different than the rest. Like ever since Hoop bitched about this pricing, now all of a sudden I feel like this week is like the hardest week because, for one, the pricing's pretty good. I mean, there's always going to be a few guys that are off, but I don't know. Like I kind of don't like any running backs, which is weird because there's usually locks at running. But even the good guys, like I'm not fully in love with them. Sure, they're fine. I mean, you can play them. But, like, you're not in love with any of them, right? I mean, I hope you guys can sell me on a couple because I really don't have conviction on any running back. I can't think of any that I'm, like, falling out of the chair about.
Yeah, I mean, like, outside of Kamara, like, that's really the only guy that I'm sure.
I'm worried about game script a little bit with him even. Like, I love him. Don't get me wrong. He's the top of the list. But I'm not full. Like, he's going to be so chalky for a guy that they could win by 30.
Yep, I'm with you. I've had the same kind of conversation with myself, and then I look at every model, and they just love Kamara.
Well, it's much different than most weeks, where like the running back position is the spot where we felt very comfortable.
All year, right?
Yeah, all year, and then finally you get McCaffrey way up there. Which I mean, I guess he had the same price last week, but the difference was the value this week is there's just not standout value. It's a good slate. Like if you're a person that prides yourself on the research that you do and whatnot, it should be a good week for you because there's not many free squares and a lot of tough decisions that you have to make. And even at quarterback, like there's like I don't know about you guys, but there's only like 2 guys that I want to play, maybe 3. Like
and like just dead locks though. I mean, even the guys that are great there like have holes to where they could fail.
Yeah. No, it should be an interesting week. I mean, it's a lot of tough decisions.
I have found this slate really interesting, and it's honestly one of my favorite slates that we've had all year. We'll kind of get into some of the plays I like, and of course the plays that Hoop and Big T like. And let's go ahead and kick it off with a game that everybody's going to have exposure to, and I mean everybody, rightfully so. It's Tampa at Atlanta, 51.5-point total. The Falcons 3.5-point favorites at home, and Hoop, I don't care if it's cash games, tournaments, whatever. This is a game we have to have exposure to.
Yeah, and Tony and I talked about it on the podcast, and there's still like it's a 52 total, but there's a lot of question marks in this game. Like there's like a lot of standout plays. Like the Falcons guys, especially the passing, is going to be probably the most popular part of the slate. The ownership on these guys should be super high. I mean, just think like 3 weeks ago, we were writing off this team as a whole. Like we were writing off Matt Ryan, like he's dust, he's done. The team's done. And now, 2-3 weeks later, they're the most popular guys on the entire DFS slate. Matt Ryan, Julio, Calvin Ridley, I think, are going to garner a ton of ownership. Now, the tough question in tournaments is, do you believe this Falcons defense? What we've seen the last 2 weeks coming off the bye, shutting out the Falcons and then shutting out who they play last week. Drawing a blank.
Yeah, I don't remember. It was the football team, though.
Yeah, NFL football team. Tony, come on, you got to get us. Who they got? Who they?
I wasn't even listening to what you were talking about.
Who the Falcons?
what were you saying?
Who did the Falcons play last week?
Oh, they played Carolina.
Oh, Carolina. Yeah, Carolina. Weeks. Yeah, so they just shut up.
I literally didn't hear a word you were saying. I was like in a different
nice.
zone.
I appreciate that. I mean, when you're talking, I mean, I'm sitting on the end of my chair like just absorbing like a sponge. Like, give me more information, Big T. Give me more information. Hoop talks, and you don't even hear a freaking word. Bad.
That usually doesn't happen. Usually, I'm glued to the hoopster.
Yeah, so no, that's the toughest decision, though. I mean, do you believe the Falcons' defense that we saw the last couple of weeks? And I think the fact that their defense has played so good, it's going to keep the ownership down on Mike Evans, Godwin, which should be easy plays if you're looking at the Falcons and considering the Falcons' high ownership. Like, those are guys that should definitely be in a ton of tournament lineups, a ton of tournament teams. So it makes it interesting, but like I said, I know the Falcon side's going to be super popular, and if you like those guys, you have to consider the Bucks guys, despite how good the Falcons defense has been lately.
Yeah, I mean, I look at this team, and I'm just going to respond since Tony's not paying attention.
Yeah,
and Julio and Calvin, like, the nice thing about both these teams, and Tony, I know you like this too, is that we get such a condensed target tree. Like, where the ball's going to go. It's going to be Julio or Ridley. It's going to be Evans or Godwin. And, like, I know, Tony, you're all into the game stacks this year. This is the easiest game to stack on the slate because you know where the ball's going.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and you have good players in the spots you want them. Like, you have 2 or 3 pass catchers on both sides where it's just super easy to stack. But the issue is it's the only game with a good total on the week, so everyone's going to be stacking this game, which is fine. Like, I don't know. I agree with – I already know what Hoop – that's one of the reasons I wasn't listening to Hoop because we already talked about this game.
Yeah.
Like, I know exactly what he probably said without even listening. It's the most confusing game maybe of the season because is Atlanta's defense for real?
No.
Like, well, they might not be, but they definitely – there's definitely a realm where they are, though. I mean, they shut out back-to-back pretty decent teams. And Tampa Bay's been known to lay stinkers at times. So
they shut out Kyle Allen. Let's not go crazy with like decent.
They shut out the Saints at the Superdome. So that's about as good a shutout as you can have.
But I mean, the thing is, even if Tampa doesn't score points, Evans and Godwin are still going to get.
I'm not making a case against them for the record. No. Like I like Tampa to win this game. Actually, I'm more on the side of you where they're probably not for real. Tampa probably will score a bunch of points today. I'm just throwing it that this is how the slate is, though. I wouldn't be shocked at all if this afternoon we're sitting there like, how was that game 13-10? Like, I wouldn't be. I really wouldn't be. I
would be, and my currently winning certainly wouldn't be happy if that happened.
So you're just jamming the 51 total?
I mean, I'm playing like I think honestly, 150. You need one of Julio and Ridley and one of Evans or Godwin on every team.
Why not just full stack it then?
I'm going to have some Ryan and James.
I mean, just jam that. If you're playing two guys from the game.
Saying in all his lineups, like outside of the game stacks, right? I mean, outside of stacking the game, if you're building the lineup, you're having at least, one of each.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I'm not – that's another thing. Like, I know, like, these other games are so freaking bad.
Yeah.
Like, that's another reason I think you just have to do it on this slate. Like, I'll differentiate elsewhere. When I'm looking at this spot, I'm not willing to get cute here. Any interest in a guy like Brian Hill? I know he's going to get some ownership, and he pissed everybody off.
These spots are always funny, right? Where a guy's like just mega chalk, and then he's the same price the next week, and he's going in a versus a tough run D. All the chalk is the receivers. No one's going to play the guy after he was 50% owned, and they always go off in this spot. Always. He's going to have like 3 touchdowns today, and the receivers are going to have 0, and everyone's going to tilt that.
Yep.
Yeah.
But, I mean, the truth of the matter is, like, how could you like Brian Hill? Like, I don't like him either. It's a tough spot.
It's a brutal matchup. I mean, this Tampa Bay run defense is elite. But
it's a tough matchup, and these other guys got, like, more work than people anticipated, too. I mean, the Allison, what the hell's his name? Allison was in there on the goal.
Quadri Allison, yeah.
Yeah, he was in there, some of the goal line carries, like that. That's just tilting stuff. I mean, that's not fun to see when you roster the running back when a guy you've never heard of comes in for the goal line carries.
Yeah, that hurts. Yeah, it's gonna hurt though if you don't play Brian Hill today because like Look, I don't
You
like
can see
him,
it coming, don't you? Where Julio drops at the 2-yard line, and you just know he's coming in to get that touchdown.
Just sit around and you're like, here it comes. It's just it's just
one of the interesting guys in this game for me that's going to be low owned is Cam Brate. I mean, this guy had 1 million targets, and Jameis always throws him the ball. What did he have? 14 targets last week?
Yeah, he was
the 14, right?
He's going to be 3% owned today in the chalk game of the day.
I like that call, actually. I really do. I really do like that call.
All right.
I mean, Howard had that behind the back fumble, interception, whatever they roll
every week.
And then it was just like break, just nonstop targets.
Yeah, he just hates OJ Howard. Like,
who doesn't though? How do you like?
Is there at least a less popular guy in fantasy football than OJ Howard?
It's got to be OJ Howard, maybe like Baker Mayfield.
Baker's going to get healthy though here soon.
Hey,
that's up next. I mean, I'm telling you,
Baker's definitely going to be having himself a game here. We didn't really talk about Ronald Jones. We've been playing running backs against Atlanta. Like, I don't even have a problem with Ronald Jones today, honestly. I'm on an island here. Okay, good talk.
I look at him a lot like I look at Brian Hill. I mean,
that's what I mean. Hey, if you're playing one, why not play the other one too?
I mean, you could. I don't think on a day where we hate running back, again, this game could troll us. Like, this game definitely could troll us with some weird touchdowns.
It is weird, though. Like, sure. You mentioned hating running back on this slate. And normally on fantasy draft, where you're playing the 2 starting running backs and then 2 running backs in the flex. And I don't think that's the case today. Like, I love a lot of wide receiver.
I think it's weird. That's whatever. Aren't you way more confident about receiver today than running back?
Even on like DraftKings, though, it's in cash games. It's always, no matter what, you play 3 running backs. 90% of the time, I'd say. Today fits that 10% where I don't think you have to, because there's just not. The options just aren't available.
I love the Booger Eating Moron in the chat. OJ Howard, the second most hated OJ.
I'll tell you what, Booger Eating Moron is the man. Such a nice dude. He's classy gentleman.
All right. Well, let's move on to the game that I know Tony loves. To the game.
Here we go. Is it our weekly joke? Which game is it?
Well, it's Miami.
Your team, buddy.
Which 37 total are we talking about?
Yeah.
Actually, before I do that, I got to let you guys know, if you're watching on YouTube, 1, get over to RotoGrinders. We're having a good time over here. And secondly, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and hey, comment, say that, oh my God, that Tony is good looking. Oh my God, that hoopster. He only does one headphone in the ear, but he knows what's going on because he
I actually listen to my co-host.
Yeah, because he actually listens to the co-host, whereas Tony's just like talking in the chat.
I'm stunned right now because does that say Bird Wings just typed in the chat? He's out of the mountains?
Mr. Bird.
No way.
Dude, they come out of the woodwork, literally.
I thought he was still hiding in the mountains since 2016. I mean, this is good to know he's still kicking.
He's still kicking.
Oh.
Also, shout out to these RotoGrinders.
Just made my day.
Rocking the RotoGrinders badge. We have Kev Corner, R. Balsinger, J. Hay, I-40, 40 Ozman, Winters, 33, 46, 2, 77, and Rhino Doobs. All right.
I love these pronunciations.
I know. It's my favorite thing. And I never read them beforehand. Like, it's the first thing I do, like, I scroll up so I can't see them, and then I scroll down immediately just to start reading them. It's good times. But anyways, thanks for rocking the RotoGrinders badge. And again, like, subscribe, have a good time. And speaking of having a good time, let's talk Dolphins and Browns. 45-point total. Cleveland, 10.5-point favorites at home. And Tony, I heard you alluding to it earlier. This is the week that Baker Mayfield gets healthy. Look at Tony. He looks like the girl on the webcam just took her bra off. Like, he looks so happy, man. Like,
that made my day that Bird Wings was in there. That was awesome.
He looks so happy right now. All right.
The last time I seen him, he told me I was going to buy a cheeseburger or something. The double cheeseburger. What did he say?
Triple stack. Right? He got you with the triple stack. Wendy's triple stack.
Oh.
The Baconator, the triple stack Baconator.
Oh, man. Tony, I know you like Baker today. Talk to me about him.
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone kind of likes – for one, Julio and Odell are kind of the direction everyone's going. I bet Hoop probably has both of them maybe in his cash. But, yeah, it's a great spot. Baker, Odell. They haven't had an easy matchup since, like, week 2, it feels like. It's just an explosion spot. And the thing is, their defense, you lose their best defensive guy because he's hitting people with freaking helmets.
Now here comes the Dolphins. He's sliding right into the Dolphins. Let's go.
I mean, Cleveland was one of my picks this week. I think Cleveland rolls, but you got like Gesicki is cheap at tight end. You got Parker's always going to get a workload. I mean, one guy that I'm definitely not playing is this freaking Balazs dude. We talked about his numbers earlier this week. It's impressive how bad this guy is. But, I mean, obviously, so I guess the most interesting play in this game is Chubb. Like, what can we do with Chubb on a week we don't like running back?
Like, I'm not playing. I don't really like Chubb this week. I mean,
no one's playing him, though, right?
No, I mean, he's going to be 15, 16%, but, like, he's still going to be splitting work with Kareem Hunt. I know Hunt's been lining up out wide a lot, but he's still going to be splitting work with Kareem. I don't see how I can pay that price for Chubb when I can just pay a little bit more and get Kamara. Like, this game is obviously all about Baker and Odell, and I understand there's a blowout concern, but I kind of feel like that Cleveland uses this as a Baker, hey, go show us you don't suck game. Like, I like Baker a lot this week. Hooper, are you on Baker as well? Are you playing Chubb? What are you doing with the Cleveland side?
Yeah, not on Chubb. Love the Browns passing game here. I mean, it's Tony alluded to it. I mean, it's been a tough schedule. We'll pull up the schedule. That's my go-to. The schedule. I mean, the stretch of games.
Great TV.
Yes, the stretch of games that the Browns. It was tough. We pulled it up on the Print Factory, but 4-game stretch: Ravens, Niners, Seahawks, Patriots. Even at Denver. I mean, after that, and the Bills. I mean, they've played the toughest defenses in the league over like a six week span. I think this is a big spot for them. The prices are down. Man, like Baker might. I know a lot of people like Matt Ryan. Baker might be my favorite quarterback this week. Like, yeah, I think he is. I think he has a big week here. Kareem Hunt. You know, obviously more guys that can catch passes. I don't mind Landry. I wish the price was like I wish they gave you a little bit of a discount on Landry. It's just not there. Like, he's so close to Odell. It's hard to play Landry over Odell. But
he's more expensive on FanDuel.
Yeah, like it's so tough. Maybe tournament type stuff. I mean, you guys are the tournament guys. Maybe Landry. He's been super consistent.
Landry's more expensive than Beckham on FanDuel,
isn't he? I thought he was 100 more. Did I
possible?
That is like, whew, that's tough.
Yeah. I mean, you know, in fantasy draft, it's a fantasy draft. You know, you get it's like a $1,600 savings, but like what you're saying, it's not really enough. Just get up to Odell.
Yeah.
Like, and Odell's been just getting, I mean, absolutely peppered with targets lately. 10 targets, 12 targets in his last 2 games. Is he going to be popular? Yes. Do I usually shy away from popular wide receivers? Yes, but I don't think this is the spot where I'm going to do it. Like, it's very rare that we can project double-digit targets for a guy, but I think that's where we're at with Odell in this one. It's weird that we're all still on the same page, you know, because like normally,
I kind of disagree a little bit with Landry though, because I feel like everyone's saying the same thing we are. Like, so no one's going to play Landry, which I love just double stacking them too. Like, just play both of them with Baker. No one's going to play Landry today. Like, he's going to be low owned because of the exact reasons you guys laid out. He's the same price basically as OBJ. So I think Landry's a great play because of that.
Yeah, like, I mean, if you want to get different in tournaments, like as a 5 or 10% guy, I think that's fine. I'm not really sure I'm willing to go more than that. Tony,
but Landry, he's been getting red zone targets too. It's not just like a possession type guy. Like they've been targeting him in the red zone as well. So there's upside with Landry.
His numbers are better than he's got the same tough matchups OBJ had, and his numbers are better.
Yeah, no, I think he's in play.
So we were talking.
No one's going to play Chubb. No one's going to play Like, they're playing Miami. They could score in the 40s.
I mean, what about Kareem Hunt today? Like, I assume
no one's going to play him either. I don't think.
Yeah. Like, I mean, this is a guy that's getting targets. He's going to get some running back carries as well. Like, I don't hate Kareem Hunt, especially on a slate where we don't really like any running backs.
Yeah, I wish the price was a tad bit cheaper.
He does look expensive when you see it. I mean, he's 5'6" on DK. That's tough sledding.
Well, one guy that does not look expensive, and we have a special request for Tony to talk about this guy.
I don't know why. And how am I the one that has to talk about this guy?
You're the Dolphins guy. Come on, you're the Dolphins guy. What do you mean? Why do I got to talk about this guy?
I should play him today just because he does play for the Dolphins. And I mean, so all week long, I don't know who started the freaking joke about Laird, but all week long it's been like the thing on Twitter and shows where everyone's making this joke about Laird. Part of it is that Ballage is the worst running back in the history of the world. The second part is Laird truck stick some guy in some video that people were sending me. So,
okay.
I mean, he's 3,400. We hate running back. I mean,
I don't think it's the craziest play.
Anytime a guy's 3,400 and the guy in front of him sucks, I don't think it's the worst thing ever either. I mean, he's projected for 7. That's probably I think he could get 7 easy. If he somehow like breaks something, I don't think he's the worst. If you're playing 150, definitely have a little fun with it.
I mean, he can get you everything. I think that's the key. Honestly.
Also, you actually like him.
I think he can get 10.
A 10 would be mad. If you told me right now he gets double digits.
Mr. 37X
he's slowly coming our way.
He's coming
down.
We're bringing him down.
Be low today with the lack of value.
That is true.
I woke up this morning and the first thing I thought was, please tell me some value showed up overnight because this just doesn't exist on this slate. So sometimes we make the mistake of forcing value, and maybe that's what.
So let me get this straight, Crane. If I told you he'd get you 12, are you playing him?
Yes.
Yeah. See, Hoop, he's coming our way.
We're bringing him down a little bit.
He's coming.
It's a different kind of slate.
We're going to write a book one day that would from 37X down to 4X. Let's go.
Down to 12 points.
From 30, we got him down.
The funny thing, though, is if you told me 12, I might play him on like every team and just take my chances.
Yes.
If you got 12, I'm jamming. I mean, he'd be a cash lock today if he was getting 12.
The problem is he could get us 0.
That's the problem. He's somebody who has we don't have a lot of legitimate zero floor running backs, but here we are.
Legit 0 too. Like he could easily get 0.
Oh man. All right. We've spent a lot of time on these first 2 games. Why? Because, all the other games suck, and I'm kind of okay with spending a lot of time on these big time games. Let's talk Giants at Bears, a 40.5 point total. The Bears 6-point favorites at home, and I'm going to start with you because this Bears side, I even heard a little Trubisky talk earlier in the week. I'm not sure.
Like how?
I don't know.
Why? How and why?
I got a 23-point team total. The Giants suck. You can pair him with Allen Robinson. I'm not playing Trubisky. I don't hate Robinson. I don't even hate David Montgomery, even though he's been terrible. But this game sucks. Like, I don't want to mess with this.
I'll do some catch-up time for us here. No, I have no interest in anyone in this game whatsoever. If you want action on this game, just bet the Giants +6.
Tony, you playing anybody here?
I think a lot of these games on this slate are similar where I don't think they're very good fillers. If I played this game, it would just be like a game stack. It would just be Saquon, A-Rob, and you could play like one of the quarterbacks with it but like I don't like anybody in this game by any means. Saquon should get some ownership, I would think, at this price on a week that running backs suck.
He sucks.
You're just mad at him about his 14 carries for 1 yard that he got a few weeks ago.
Actually, that's a good reason to be mad at a guy.
Crazy because that's one of the best weeks I've had somehow. Someone else, there's like that. I think that was the week there was a ton of busts, I believe.
Yeah, we got a couple min-price tight ends here.
I actually don't mind Caden Smith as a full punt. I forgot about him until you just said that.
Yeah, it's funny because I've looked at my lineups and I've got 2 different builds I'm considering going with, but one of them forces me to play Caden Smith, and that's just.
I don't think it's like. I don't think it's the worst play ever if it gets you the world in there.
If you're spending up at tight end, there's only like probably one guy that you'd want, so you're not really. The opportunity cost is not super high.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I'm somebody I like to spend way up or way down. The guy in the mid range I like is Dallas Goedert, but
that guy scores for me every single week I play him. Like I like that guy.
Are you playing him this week?
I mean, I always play him, so he
all right. So I didn't want to know if he was going to score or not. But
Nelson Aguilar's out, might be some more targets for him.
No, I like him. I wish Alshon was out. If Alshon
has anybody in the history of football had worse receivers than the Eagles do this year? Like
every
crazy though. There's like guys that could go out and get, and you go ahead and get Jordan freaking Matthews. Like Jordan Matthews is the guy you pick up.
It's crazy. Like
how is that possible?
And people are going to blame Wentz for this season. Like. What do you want him to do? He has literally no receivers. I just don't get it.
All right, let's talk Carolina at the Saints, a 45.5 point total. New Orleans, 9.5 point favorites at home. This is, I think, the first show we're going to do all year outside of the bye week where Tony and Hoop are not going to say jamming Christian McCaffrey. And again, the reason is I don't know what you guys are laughing at. I'm like trying to look at the chat, trying to talk.
But, we're laughing that we don't like McCaffrey. Finally.
Yeah, it's the first week all year, and we're just sitting here at a 10-5 McCaffrey. He's 19-2 over on FantasyDraft. But
on a week where we don't like running backs, too, I mean, he's probably going to make us just hate life.
He's getting 40, and we're all going to say, hey, wait a second, that McCaffrey, maybe he's a good play. But I don't know, man. Like, I can't do it today, Hoop.
Yeah. The problem is that's what we said like a few weeks ago when he played the 49ers and they got absolutely smoked and he puts up 45 still. Like, he is a guy you can't write off in tournaments. And it's tough this week. Like, it's tough with the value. Like, it's not available, and that's what makes it hard. But if you're playing tournaments, I think, especially if you're like a single entry type guy, like, do yourself a favor and just find a way to play McCaffrey. Like, just find a way to do it. Play some of these cheap wide receivers. The worst possible matchup he had this year at San Francisco, the Panthers got smoked, and he still puts up high 30s, I think, fantasy points. Good tournament play, tough for cash. It's tough to play him just because of the value, like we said. So I don't know. It's Christian McCaffrey. He's the best running back in football. He will probably get 35 to 40, like Tony said, and you're going to hate yourself at the end of the day and just say, why not just play McCaffrey?
I get a feel like that's going to happen, and yet I'm still not going to play him.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I'll have 10. I'll dean him or something. But, Tony, we like McCaffrey. On the other side, we've got Alvin Kamara, who's going to be one of the, if not the most popular play on the whole slate. He's 15-9 over on FantasyDraft. Here's the problem, because normally we like these, stud running backs as big-time home favorites, but that's not really the kind of guy Kamara is. Kamara's not the, I think he's season high in carries is what, like 13 or something? You want him in the passing game. The question is, are they going to be passing the ball? So, Tony, talk to me about Kamara, because you sound like you've got some reservations.
No, I think he's the best play of the week at running back, but, I think everyone's going to play him. Like, everyone is just saying how he's the top guy. He's $2,300 cheaper than McCaffrey. Sure, it's easy in cash games. You just play him. I guarantee, 100%. I haven't talked to Hoop about his team at all. I guarantee he's got him in there. It's just he's the easiest play at running back. He's going to be, I'm sure, 50% in the high-stakes stuff. He's the play this week. But I do have reservations that they blow this team out. I think Carolina is definitely cratering inward. I think they're really bad right now, which is another reason McCaffrey – I've played McCaffrey every week, all in every week. I think I'm fading completely this week, too. I don't think I'll have any McCaffrey. Part of it is I just don't believe in Carolina. I think New Orleans blows them out. If New Orleans blows them out, I don't think Kamara – I think he's fine. I think he's going to get his, and he's going to get 20 points or something. But I don't like his upside when they're going to blow him out. I could even see myself playing some Latavius for leverage in tournaments off of Thomas and Kamara. So – I don't know. Kamara's the best play on the slate for cash, and even tournaments. I don't hate him. I'm not fading him by any means, but I am a little nervous about it.
Yeah, I get it. And you mentioned Latavius. I think in tournaments, 1% ownership, I think he's really interesting because if this game gets out of hand, he's going to get every single carry. There's no
How many times in the past years have we seen Ingram get 2 or 3 touchdowns in this spot, and no one played him? It's the same spot. Yeah. You're not going to do it in cash by any means, but in a tournament like a Millie Maker where you're trying to beat a huge field, if he gets 3 touchdowns and Kamara gets 0, you know how much your win odds increase? Off the charts.
Yeah, from 0.1% to 0.01%.
From 0.1 to 0.2.
Yeah, it's really Millie Maker's hard, man. Hoop,
was that a subtle brag? Was that what you were doing?
It was 3 years ago. I just got to do it again.
We got to remind everyone.
Well, doing it again would be even funner than the first time.
Yeah, true. With Kamara, I think it's a couple things. It's a price thing, like Tony mentioned. He's just so much cheaper than McCaffrey. It's a safety thing. Yes, there's paths to him not having a massive game, but his floor seems pretty darn safe in this spot, especially on full PPR sites. just seems like he's going to get, right around 20 this week. If he gets a touchdown, he's going to have a big week. If he doesn't score a touchdown, I think he'll be right around 20. He has the big play upside. It's a safety thing. We're looking for points at running back this week. It's a tough week at running back. He fits all these builds. Like if you get him in, you're not sacrificing other guys that you want to work in your lineups. So I think that's the reason he'll be so popular this week, and rightfully so. It's just you're not going to find safety at running back. He's the safest guy when you factor in price.
Crane is a 150 guy, I'm not talking to single entry Crane here. I'm talking to 150 entry Crane. What do we do with Kamara and Latavius in our scripts? Do we put a rule where we get one of them? Can we play them both in any lineup?
I actually was thinking last night, can I play them both? And I just can't do it.
It's got to be bad core. I get the correlation. If you run perfect and Kamara gets the first two and Latavius gets the last two.
Yeah, but the problem is you need that's the path, but it's just such an unlikely path. You need because for Kamara to hit his ceiling, obviously you need touchdowns. And if Kamara's getting the touchdowns, that means that Murray's not. So I don't think you can play. And plus, I want to say the same about Kamara and Thomas too. Like in cash games, I get it. Probably not this week, but I get it. But in tournaments, you need those touchdowns. It's just so hard for a team to score 1 million touchdowns. So yeah, I get it. Are we playing any of these Panthers wideouts? I'm not really on them, but wanted to ask.
No, I'm not playing any Carolina guys. I think Carolina struggles bad.
Yeah, Lattimore officially out, so I guess they're back in the conversation a little bit. DJ Moore's been despite how bad Allen's been, and he's been bad. Like DJ Moore just puts up numbers every week. The price has come up a little bit, which makes it more tough. And we have those other wide receivers in the first game we talked about, the Bucks and the Falcons, and then Landry and Odell. So it makes it hard. But it'd be just more tournament type stuff. If you're gonna buy into that script of the Saints having a big lead and you're gonna play Latavius Murray, you might want to take a look at DJ Moore or Samuel or Olsen.
All right, we have done 4 games. We're half an hour into the show, and these next group of games let's just say we're going to move
cruise
through. Broncos at the Bills. You know what, Hoop? You know who I bet likes this game?
Funny thing is, I know a guy.
I know a guy
too that probably likes this game. A lot of wind, a 36.5 point total. The Bills and the Broncos. Literally nobody is going to this game, but with a 36.5 point total and the Bills 3.5 point favorites. Tony, I bet you're here, baby.
What? So first of all, there's this huge, ginormous orange O staring at me on this sheet. What is there, like horrible weather there or something?
It's windy.
Like very windy?
Here, hold on. Let me pull it up. It is.
The total opened at 35 in this game.
Okay, this is what Roth has. The likeliest, windiest game of the week, Orchard Park should see winds of 15 to 20 miles per hour, sustained and gusts over 25. Temps cold but manageable around 40 degrees.
But manageable.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
We're looking 15 to 20 sustained. Play the defenses here.
You guys always make fun of me, but
oh, no.
I think the Broncos have some of the mispriced guys on the slate. Like Lindsey's too cheap. Tim Patrick is $3K.
You're not playing a wide receiver. You cannot play a wide receiver.
I'm definitely playing Tim Patrick today. Like he's $3K and he's good.
You have all the great wide receiver plays. You always say this to me with running
I'm not going to play the exact same structure as everyone, Crane. I'm not going to pay up for the receivers, and I'm not going to do that. Like I'm going to build teams that are different than Tim Patrick is I bet even Hoop likes Tim Patrick.
Hoop, do you like Tim Patrick?
I think he's in play. He's in my player pool this week. And
that's Hoop's player pool, Crane.
It's the same reason. A 3K guy. I'm fine.
He's good too, though. He's not a scrub.
Yeah, and I'm fine with the potential of taking a 0. Like if he gets 0, you're not dead at 3K. The same.
He got 8 targets last week.
Yeah, he's fine.
Shouldn't we like the running backs here?
I like Lindsey.
Why aren't we liking Singletary?
Because friggin' Frank Gore tilts me every week when he comes in and gets the work in the red zone.
Man, all right. We've already spent too much time on this game. I'm moving on to the Lions.
Hoop, do you like Lindsey at 5'2"?
Yeah, he's fine. There's a few guys in that range. He's fine to me. It's running back. Like we said, there's just nothing gets you excited. He's cheap-ish. Yeah, he's fine. I mean, if he fits in. I mean, not a guy I'm building around, but, if he fits in there, yeah, I'll play him.
All right, let's talk the Lions at Washington, 40.5-point total, Detroit 3.5-point favorites. And, Tony, I know who you're going to talk about because Ian Hartz, he brought his helicopter play on the slate.
He hit it again last week, too, which we all made fun of Mac. I know Mac got hurt, but I'm not one of those people that he definitely got there. If you played Mac last week, that was a good play. So I give him full credit for that one. Yeah, and Galladay is his helicopter play this week, and I was happy because I watched, first of all, I played Haskins last week. I rooted on him the entire game. He was freaking terrible.
That's impressive.
If it wasn't the morning wood, I would have dropped an F-bomb there, but he was the worst quarterback I've ever seen in my life last week. I have no idea how he got to 18, but point being, Washington's terrible. Detroit, the projections don't look great. So, Galladay is only projected 11 or 12 points. But, man, this spot's better than the Detroit's look decent, and I like this play. I like this as a sneaky little stack for Detroit, too, because they got weapons against a team that just sucks.
I don't hate Driscoll today.
Yeah.
I really don't. He was on my list before I saw the Galladay tweet, and I just, it's funny because we do all this research all week, and we're just all right, but now this tweet is going to change.
About a stupid helicopter, and it gets us excited.
I still am so confused what you guys are talking about with this. What's the helicopter?
You just not listen to us every week?
Yeah, but I didn't understand it last week. I didn't understand it last week. I'm so confused.
Ian Hartz, he's been tweeting out, he's got his little picture.
I've seen people retweeting the helicopter picture.
He just tweets one play every week, Hoop, and every week the play's crushed except one.
Yeah.
And it's never like it's not like Kamara this week or something. It's always like an off-the-wall guy.
Yeah, you did say that last week.
Yeah, so.
All right.
Anyways.
So it's Galladay this week?
Yeah, it's always like a lone guy, and he just keeps hitting it. And I like Galladay, so.
All right, yeah, Mangone just posted the link in the chat. Mangone's or Hoop's an old man. Sorry, it's you now calling you. Oh, there's the helicopter.
I'm not up to date with the hip hop lingo.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna play some Galladay. And look, you can always play these lines every single week. Marvin Jones, Kenny Galladay, they should be in your player pool. They've got big time upside. Driscoll does like to throw it deep, despite his kind of reputation. And I don't hate either of those guys on the Washington side.
The reason I do like, I like Galladay a little bit before the helicopter news. Just because Driscoll, to me is not that much different than Matthew Stafford. I don't think there's much of a difference. That's why I like the Lions in this game, and that's why I don't mind some of these pieces like Galladay, Jones. I still wouldn't. People are talking about Scarborough, the running back, Bo Scarborough. No thanks. I still wouldn't go there. But some of the pass catchers, I don't mind because, like I said, I like Driscoll and Stafford. There's just not that much of a difference.
On the Washington side, I don't like any of the receivers. I'm not a big Terry McLaurin fan. It's tough when Dwayne Haskins throwing the football. I have a weird feeling that Darius Geis has a big game. And I just can't shake this feeling. I know I was disappointed that Adrian Peterson is active today, but I don't know why. I just have this weird feeling that Geis has a big game. Tony, any answer to this Washington side for you?
I've said the same thing all year. If I play Driscoll and Galladay and Marvin, I'm going to run it back with one Washington guy. I'm just going to. It's what I believe. So I don't know. You talk about Geis. I always talk about projections just looking to get a feel. He's projected nice in that game. He's projected almost 13 points, which feels high for Geis. So I'm glad you said that because maybe I use him as my run back or I'm going to play McLaurin at least a little in my Detroit stacks just because, man, it was painful last week. It hurt me deep watching those guys. I loved McLaurin. I had him everywhere. He sucked. It wasn't even his fault, though. First of all, he caught a 70-yard bomb in the first quarter that they got a freaking holding penalty or something. And then he had to watch freaking what's this dude's name? Haskins throw him the ball all week. God, it was painful. But I'm definitely going to play a little just so I don't get tilted when he goes off this week. I like the Geis call, though. I don't like running back this week. Detroit sucks at stopping the run. I think Geis is a nice little tournament play. I like that, Crane.
All right, Oakland at the Jets, 46.5-point total. Oakland, 3-point favorites on the road. Expected to see some rain in this one. This is sort of the game with a higher total that I don't think sees a lot of ownership. Le'Veon Bell's going to see some.
How could you possibly play Lev Bell?
There's just no upside, man.
And he was losing all these carries again last week. Like, I couldn't even imagine playing Lev Bell.
Yeah, I mean, if you want 17 points, that's great. I don't think he really can get you more than that.
Oh, baby, the helicopter. Did you guys see this? Josh Norman inactive today?
Yeah.
The helicopter just took off.
That's bad. For Josh Norman sucks. Like,
the guy behind him can't be better than him, though. Like, even if he does suck.
Yeah. All right. Hoop, Raiders-Jets game. It's one of the higher totals that's sort of going ignored. What do we think about this spot?
Yeah, I don't know. It's a weird spot. Like the Jets, like Jacobs is the guy that you feel good about on the Raiders, but the Jets' run defense has actually been pretty good, so kind of takes him out. Just nothing for me here, really. Like I like the Jets in this game. I think the Jets win. How do they get there? I don't know. I mean, I'm gonna mention my boy Demaryius Thomas once again. He's cheap, guy that you can look at. I've mentioned him every week, and I got to mention him again. Robbie Anderson for tournaments, big play upside. Tony likes Mr. Crowder, who's like 8K on DK, but we'll see.
My favorite running back or wide receiver play on the slates in this game.
Uh-oh.
I might actually have to unmute on Twitter for the first time in 2 years the word gazelle, because I am all about some Tyrell Williams this week. This is a perfect matchup for him. He's the kind of player that has just been burning the Jets. He's been getting an increased target share since, everybody's sort of forgotten about him because he was hurt for a while and they had some bye week. But, I love Tyrell this week. He's honestly first guy in my line. Dead serious over on DK if I'm playing big. That's what I'm doing. Tony, what do you think about this game?
Yeah, I mean, this is another game. I forget which one I talked about earlier where I like the game stack if you're playing it just because it makes sense with the different pieces. The Jets offense has looked pretty decent the last couple weeks, and they have weapons. Like, you look at their guys. I mean, their guys are decent enough. They got 3 good receivers, Crowder, DT, Robbie Anderson. Oakland has the pieces to shoot out too. I mean, this total isn't even that small. I mean, it's – what is it right now? We got – 46.5 right now. I mean, this game easily could shoot out. No one would be surprised if this game just totally shot out. I like the Tyrell. I always like when you throw out these receivers that – I mean, I had them on my list, but Tyrell's a perfect Crane receiver that just goes off for me. And
he's going to be my highest owned receiver today.
Yeah, I like it. I like that. And I like Crowder. Hoop made fun of me, but I do like Crowder. Crowder just – these guys, what does Levitan always say, the shower narrative or whatever? I guarantee these guys shower together. Like Darnold and Crowder.
Doesn't he usually associate that with guys that
that played in college and stuff like that? But
these guys shower. I guarantee they shower together.
Oh, in the Jets facility, these guys have some morning wood going on right now in that Jets shower. Like
they
Crowder and Darnold, they enjoy each other's company.
They shower together.
Oh, guaranteed.
Okay. Steelers and Bengals, 37.5-point total. Pittsburgh, 6.5-point favorites on the road. Sorry, I can't guarantee these guys shower together. Jalen Samuels is priced like the greatest running back in the history of football. We're not playing him. He's 12-9 over on FantasyDraft. This Pittsburgh team, there's no juju in there. I'm sorry, I can't get over that guarantee. They shower together. Who talked to me about this game?
I guarantee that is great. I guarantee they shower together.
I'm still.
The best part is, it's true.
Yeah, could be. I'm sure they'd be thrilled to hear that the perception is they shower together. It's good stuff. Good stuff. Yeah, I kind of feel like Tony approaching this game. My mindset with this game, it's big T-ish, I guess you could say. Like, I like the Bengals.
I always rub off on you. You pretend I don't, but
I'm looking at this 15.5 team total, and I'm about to say I like some guys on the team.
See?
It's it feels a little different.
Feels good, doesn't it?
I don't know if it feels good, but kind of like I like the Bengals in this game to win. I like some of the pieces here, specifically Tyler Boyd. I mean, Tyler Boyd's lost me a ton of money this year. Like, Tyler Boyd has not been a profitable player, but I feel like I want to go back to him here. A little squeaky wheel type stuff. He was, made some comments. The problem is obviously you got this Finley guy throwing him the ball, but I think he gets a lot of targets here, and I think he can convert them. And like I said, the Steelers defense has been good, but I like the Bengals in the game. Little interest in Joe Mixon. I mean, Joe Mixon has been bad. I have a lot of Joe Mixon shares in these best ball leagues, but I think when running backs week this week, and if I like the Bengals in the game, I kind of like Mixon a little bit. So I'm on the Bengals, 15.5 team total. Let's go.
Look, I mean, you have to like Mixon a little bit. I'm sorry, you just do. Like, he had 17 PPR points in 3 straight games. The price is right. They're obviously just giving him the freaking ball, and Tony, you're the Bengals guy, man. Are you on Team Mixon here?
So they get their best lineman back today too. The only reason I know that is because I live in Cincy.
Come on board, buddy. There's room.
The funny thing is, I made fun of Hoop earlier on the podcast this week, but I think the Bengals might win their first game today.
There you go. Let's go, baby. Let's go.
I look at this Pittsburgh team. I made fun of Hoop, but man, I look at these bodies that they got. And it's literally pathetic. And my kids are out here wrestling too. Like, we got all kinds of things happening. I just heard someone get body slammed off the couch. But yeah,
maybe that's a sign that Rudolph goes from a helmet to the dome to someone body slamming him on the field today.
Mixon and Boyd though, I hate agreeing with Hoop, but. Mixon and Boyd are good plays. I like them both.
Let's go. Wow. Well, I figured you would. You look at the team till 15.
I hated them 2 days ago. Up your alley. I think they went outright. I do. I think they win today.
Yeah, and by the way, if you want a cheap defense, it's definitely the Bengals.
Everyone. I guarantee Hoop's got them in cash. Guaranteed.
I do. Well, I like them to win the game.
You're going to have them.
The total in the game's 37, and the defense is free. Yeah, I like the Bengals.
Oh, yeah.
Are you playing Chalky Vance McDonald, guys?
Man,
has tape been rolled out in this game? Do you know?
I don't. I think game time decision.
He was progressing as the week.
I hope he plays.
Yeah,
you hope he plays.
It's another weapon for my money line play, so I hope he plays.
God, how bad are the Bengals that we're oh no, Auden Tate, there's another weapon. Here he comes. Watch out, everybody.
The next game,
my kid, seriously.
The crazy part is we're about to go to the next game with a bigger team with a much bigger total, and their weapons are even worse.
Man.
That is the Eagles, man. Ooh.
All right, well, let's move on to that game then. We've spent a lot of time on some terrible football games today. See you in the chat's just the best, man. All right, let's talk Seattle at Philly. 46.5 point total. Philadelphia 1.5 point favorites at home, and Hoop, you've been kind of alluding to this awful wide receiver core for the Eagles. Jordan Matthews expected to get the start today. Alshon Jeffrey sounds like he's going to be in, which hurts the Goddard shares. But Zach Ertz and Dallas Goedert, 2 of the best tight end plays in the whole slate. And if I'm not looking at this Eagles side, that's where I'm looking to go with either of these tight ends.
Yeah, the tight ends are should be both solid plays. Definitely Ertz. If you're spending up at tight end, it's definitely going to be Ertz today. He'll be pretty popular just because of that. There's just not many options to spend up for at tight end. The wide receiver core is just decimated. Aguilar ruled out. I don't know if that's got to be a good thing probably for the offense, right? He's terrible. Him out has to be an upgrade, I'd say, for the overall offense, which is kind of sad. And they got these young guys. It looked pretty good early on, when they got opportunities. Now, they just don't use them, which is weird. This Hollins guy has to be better than Aguilar. JJ, Arcega, Whiteside, has to be better than Aguilar, right?
I don't know what you're saying, man. Now I'm not listening to you.
Tony, can you help me out? These dudes that aren't playing have to be better than Aguilar, right?
Maybe. I don't know.
I've had high hopes for this. This Arcega-Whiteside dude, like, you're right. I mean, they drafted him. I don't know what round. I'm not the big draft guy, but I know he was a draft pick this year. I know he's somewhat talented. But if he can't get on the field over Jordan Matthews, he must just suck.
Right?
So,
that's crazy.
This team, it is literally insane that they've won any games. And the even funnier part is they're my play of the year. I touted this on the podcast. I just made fun of how bad their receivers are, and they're my play of the year. There's no way they're losing to Seattle today. If you like money, if you like giblets, bet Philly today.
I actually think Seattle disappoints on the other side. I just don't like Russ all that much, and I know that if Eagles are up, like, he's going to be chucking, so maybe I should like him a little bit. Lockett and Metcalf I'll have a little bit of, but Chris Carson, I don't like him running into this front. I don't like the Seattle side nearly as much. And plus, it's going against Big T's play of the year, the wheelchair play of the year. So it
might be an ugly victory. I don't know how I'm going to get there, but they're going to get there. It's like, what game did Hoop say? I don't know how they're going to score, but they're going to score. That's how I feel about this one.
Who do you think scores in this one?
I definitely like the Seahawks. I mean, I think the Seahawks are just, one of the better teams in football. I think Russ is a strong play. A lot of people, I think, will be looking elsewhere at quarterback. Give me Russ. I mean, tons of upside week in and week out. He's got his weapons. Lockett's going to be in. Josh Gordon starting to integrate himself a little bit more into the offense. I just don't. I mean, how do the Eagles score points? Like, is Ertz going to have a massive game? Like,
Ertz, Goddard.
Yeah, Ertz, Goddard. I mean, what do they do at running back? I think that's an interesting.
Miles Sanders is going to project to be like between 15 to 20% today.
What do you guys think of Sanders?
I mean, I'm definitely playing him. Like,
he was out there.
He played 3 dudes.
But he's out there for so many snaps last week. I mean, it was just
the coach already said that J.J. was going to get some more work this week.
Well, they said that last week.
They would say it in Philly. Why would J.J. get carries over this dude? I love Miles. I'd love Miles Sanders today. I loved him last week too, and he let me down. But I love him again.
All right, I'm off the Miles Sanders train. Like, it's just. I'm gonna play Ertz and Goddard and just kind of figure out the rest. By the way, I will say I don't hate Alshon here. Like, this is a game where it's like it's a really beatable matchup for Alshon Jeffrey. Nobody's gonna play the dude, and he's too cheap.
Is he in for sure?
He's expected to play. Yeah,
he's expected to play. Okay.
Yeah, and like in tournaments, like I don't hate Alshon at all, and the fact that nobody's going there.
I like him if he plays. I mean, I think he's bad too these days, but. They got to throw it somewhere. I mean, they just don't have receivers. I think he's a good play.
All right, Jags at Titans, 41.5-point total. Tennessee, 3.5-point favorites at home. And it's really weird seeing a game this low of a total that's going to be low pace with 2 running backs that are going to be popular. And the reason is both these guys just get all the work. Leonard Fournette, Derrick Henry. Both these guys are going to get a lot of carries. You got to figure they can't both get there because it's really rare for running backs in the same game to go off. Do you have a preference here? Talk to me about these running backs.
Yeah, I mean, definitely prefer Henry over Fournette, but I think they're both in play for that reason, like you said. I mean, running backs week, you got 2 guys that are going to get all the touches. So, I mean, both in play, prefer Henry. And just think about Henry, it's like crazy. I mean, they got him priced way up there on FanDuel, but I mean, the fact that he doesn't get a ton of targets, the price remains pretty reasonable on DraftKings. And it's just crazy to think, like, if he got like 5 or 6 consistent targets per game, like, he'd be a top fantasy running back, but he just doesn't get that action. Like, the numbers are there. He's getting these touchdowns. He's got some long touchdowns. Derek Carr's a guy that I haven't been super high on all season. It looks like it may be a mistake because he's been solid. I think he has a good game. I mean, the problem for him this week is the price is pretty high on FanDuel, and then if you play him on DraftKings, you definitely need him to get the 100-yard bonus, and you need him to score a touchdown.
Yeah, it's just, and I'm a Derrick Henry guy. Obviously, I talk about him every single week. I don't know. Like,
you've been on him all year, and now you're not on chalk day.
I mean, I liked him when he was so cheap. Like, he's not as cheap today. Like, that's the main issue. It's like Hoop was saying, you need 100 and a score or 2 to really get it done. Could it happen? Sure, but he doesn't stand off the page to me as much as he does to other people, I guess.
I mean, I don't even really. I couldn't even imagine playing Henry as a chalk guy. I mean, I think a lot of people are going to play him today, and I don't really get it. I get the volume for sure. Like he gets the volume, but like you guys said, he doesn't catch passes. If he somehow falls into the wrong game script, he could be a total disaster. Which, I mean, Tennessee doesn't usually get in those scripts. That's why they always finish 509-7.
Well, hold on. Here's the thing with Derrick Henry. I never mind him in bad game scripts because if you look at a lot of the time when he's broken off his big run, it's been against these fronts that are playing to protect against the pass. Because even if Tennessee's down 20 in the third quarter, they're still putting him in his belly. Like that happens every single time. And the fronts are softer because they're playing a pass defense. So I like Henry in those spots. I'm just not sure this could turn into one of those spots. This feels like a game where we're just not supposed to play anybody, honestly.
I kind of like these two Jacksonville receivers a little bit too, Chark and Conley.
Okay.
Because DD should play inside, I would assume. Chark and Conley play outside a little bit. And I think Tennessee's kind of leaky outside a little bit.
Yeah, I mean,
Chark is just a beast anyways. He's turning into one of these guys that I think if you're playing 150 or 20 or 50, however many teams, I think you need to have some of him every week. He just has an explosive ability.
Who's that, Shark?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm fine with that. All right, let's move on to our last game. And if you guys are enjoying the wheelchair talk, the guarantees that two guys shower together, make sure you click like and subscribe. As long as we don't get kicked off YouTube or anything, So, and also, if you're on YouTube, check us out at RotoGrinders.com. We're having fun. All right, Dallas at New England, 44.5-point total. It's our last game of the slate. The Patriots, 5.5-point favorites. And we talk about we don't know who's going to score, but somebody's going to score. That's how I feel about this Pats side, Hoop. So where are we going here?
Yeah, I just think this could be a pretty nasty game. There's some weather obviously here. We got, it looks like it's going to rain throughout the duration of the game. The Pats could be super, super thin at wide receiver. It sounds like Sanu, they said he might play, but if he does play, it's going to be limited snaps. So I don't know. I think this could be a nasty game, but I mean, you have to look at Edelman with all these guys out. This N'Keal Harry guy should be out there. Jacoby Myers should be out there. I mean, Jacoby Myers, surprised I don't give him more of a chance. Like, he looked really good early on when given the opportunity. I feel
he was good in the preseason.
Yeah, and he catches like everything his way. But, it sounds like Harry's the guy that'll get more opportunity. So he's another cheap wide receiver. I think James White gets a boost. But it's tough. I could just see this being a nasty game. Like, the Cowboys won't score much here. I think the Patriots win this one like 17-7 or something like that.
Yeah, this is another game where I'm kind of leaning toward the under as well. I do think it sort of feels like one of these Patriots running backs could have a good game. The problem, of course, is just guessing which one. I think Sony's a little interesting. I think James White is interesting too. Tony, what are you doing with this Pat side?
Yeah, this slate, the worst part about this slate that's going to tilt the most is we only got 2 afternoon games, and they both are kind of ugly to where everyone's kind of just going to be watching their winnings, and it's just going to be a weird afternoon. I don't know, man. New England, Noodle Arm himself, just man, he's laboring out there. You get him some cold weather, that 42-year-old arm. Whew, I'd have a hard time playing New England guys today. But one guy I don't hate on a week where we don't like running back is Zeke, and I never like Zeke.
Oh, gosh.
But the way New England defends, I could see them game planning today to really stop the big plays from the Dallas passing game, just give up these little runs to Zeke. Dallas just wants to run the ball, so he'll take these little 4 or 5 yard runs of pop.
But he can't go 4 or 5 yards. He goes like 1 or 2.
Free Tony Pollard.
Yeah, I mean,
I like Zeke today.
All right.
Oh, boy.
You're really going to end this show with that?
Oh, we still have the Sunday night game, so are we going to talk about the night game?
Yeah, okay. Let's talk Green Bay at San Fran. 47.5-point total. San Francisco, 3-point favorites at home. And it sounds like that Matt Breida, he's expected to miss this one, which means maybe Mostert is fine. Tevin Coleman, of course, is a really good play in my view, just because Green Bay sucks against the run. And we know San Francisco wants to run it. Tony, you were excited to talk about this game, so go ahead, man.
Well, first of all, San Fran's, all their guys are coming back. Kittle's back. Manny's playing. One other guy. Debo's playing too. So they're at full strength for the first time. Well, I mean, Breida's out, but as long as Kittle's back, Manny's in, Debo's in, like they're at full strength. And maybe the best play of the day for me is Devontae Adams. Like, no one's going to play him.
I hope you're right.
He fits in that bucket of receivers too, where on fantasy, we already talked about it. Like, usually you'll play 4 running backs. This week, I think you can play 4 receivers. Like, you got Julio, you got Beckham, you got Adams, you got some other guys that are in that range that we talked about where receivers freaking loaded. And Devontae might be my favorite play of the day overall, especially on these sites where people are going to forget about him. They always do in the night game because he's not on the other slates, obviously. I like Kittle on a slate where the tight end's a little weak. I love Kittle. No one's going to play Kittle in this game. And I think there's point. We talked about this too, where the total in this game is 46 or where is it? 48, 47, 48 in a San Francisco game. So I think this game could shoot out a little bit. Devontae, Kittle. I like these pieces a little bit.
Real quick, who's your favorite guy in this game?
I agree with Tony. Devontae Adams.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, got to be back. I like the Packers. I guess I should say. I think the Packers win this game, and Adams has to be, so much more healthier this week. So I think strong finish for Devontae and the Packers here.
And a strong finish for the Morningwood. We got to jump off here, though. We got to make room for Dean and a couple poor guys that have to work with Dean. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. Thanks, Fantasy Draft, for sponsoring the show. If you're on YouTube, like, subscribe, and come check us out over at RotoGrinders and comment, too. It's good times. But we got to jump out of here. For Tony, for dudes showering together in wheelchairs, I'm Eric. We'll catch y'all later. Peace.
Fantasy Bar, 6 of my favorite plays for you for week 12 over on Yahoo. Going to hammer some mid-range and value plays for you, make life easy. My favorite wide receiver quarterback pairing, and of course, my favorite play of the week. Who is it? Belly up to the Fantasy Bar and find out. Welcome in, guys. Week 12 edition Beers Daily Fantasy 6-pack. Good to be back here in the Fantasy Bar once again. 6 of my favorite plays for you over on Yahoo. Before we take a look at everything, guys, do me a quick favor. Subscribe to the channel and click that thumbs up button, guys. Subscribing gets you access to everything, lets you know when the videos are coming out. The thumbs up helps us out tremendously. And as I always say, the little tip jar here in the Fantasy Bar. So we'll start with that. Let's knock that out first. Now, we got that behind us. Let's take a look back at last week. An okay week. Some misses, obviously. First 2 guys were disappointments. Big hit with our San Francisco trio. And Zeke was all right. Expected a little bit more. But big performances from Garoppolo. Dwelly at minimum price really carried the load for us. Now, let's put week 11 behind us. Let's take a look at week 12. Let's start at the running back position with Latavius Murray, $15. So the Saints in a great spot here this week, no doubt. And everybody's going to be talking about Alvin Kamara with good reason. Breeze, Thomas. I think you can go a lot of different ways here with the New Orleans Saints. The one guy I think will be swept under the rug, Latavius Murray, and I think that's a mistake. We know the Saints, like we said, in a good spot. Highest projected total on the board this week. And Carolina against the run, absolutely horrendous. One of the worst teams there is, where there is room to roster both Alvin Kamara and Latavius Murray in the same lineup. We've seen that work before with Kamara and Mark Ingram, winning people millions of dollars. This feels like one of those weeks where you could play both guys in the same lineup if you want to. No issues with Kamara if you want to spend the money there. I will definitely be playing him this week as well. But Latavius Murray, a cheaper option who I expect to find the end zone. Not once, twice in this game. We're going to go bold here early on. But Latavius Murray in a great spot against a bad Carolina defense. All right, next pick for us, we're going to go to the wide receiver position. We're going to roll with DK Metcalf, $20. So Josh Gordon shows up, kind of wondered what that would look like, and it hasn't affected DK Metcalf at all, and maybe it does moving forward. But 9+ targets in 3 of his last 4 games. They're coming off a bye. So that always helps. A little extra time to prepare, gets you a little healthier. Know they get banged up during the season. The Eagles, a fantastic matchup for wide receivers, and you're saying, why not Tyler Lockett? So first, we got to make sure that he's even going to play. Questionable coming into this game with that injury. But secondly, the Eagles have been pretty good against slot receivers. Not very good against outside receivers. In fact, one of the worst teams in the league. So that's the bread and butter there of DK Metcalf. I think he can take advantage of this secondary. I think this game's going to have a lot of scoring. DK Metcalf going to be a big part of that. Nice price here at $20. All right, we like that game. Let's go to the other side with tight end Dallas Goedert, $14. Now, if you watched the FanDuel DraftKings video, and if you haven't, what are you waiting for? Get over there and check that one out as well. You know I love me some Philly tight ends this week. Whether you want to spend, whether you want to go cheap, I think both guys certainly viable here in this matchup with Seattle. Well, let's take a look at the cheaper version here, and that's Dallas Goedert. Touchdowns in 3 of his last 4 games, getting so involved in this offense. They've been down weapons. Even if Alshon Jeffrey makes his return, still like Dallas Goedert in the spot. Seattle, 5th most yards allowed to tight ends. That equates to the 5th most fantasy points allowed to the tight end. So whether you want to spend up at the position or you want to go cheaper, I think you look to Philadelphia here. But love Dallas Goedert in all formats at $14. All right, to the running back position, more value here with Jalen Samuels, just $17. So you look at the prices across the industry, and it shocked me to see Jalen Samuels at $7,200 on DraftKings. Just could not pay that price. But over here on Yahoo, I was shocked he was only $17. So you do a little shopping around. We always talk about that. You don't have to have a guy in every site. To me, I want Jalen Samuels on Yahoo. And I know you lose the full point PPR coming from DraftKings, but this guy's going to be highly, highly involved in this offense. Steelers likely down. James Conner, Juju Smith-Schuster, 2 of their best players offensively. It's going to mean a lot of opportunity here for Jalen Samuels. I know Benny Snell expected to be back. I'm not worried about that, especially at the $17 price point. Yes, Snell will get his work. Samuels will be the lead dog there in Cincinnati. 4th most fantasy points allowed per game to the running back position. So Samuel's too expensive over on DK, but too cheap here on Yahoo. Make sure you're buying your shares here at just $17. All right, let's spend some money. We've been saving you money. Let's go back to the wide receiver position. Julio Jones, $35. So I know we're saying, why not Calvin Ridley? And I'm fine with Calvin Ridley. You could play both of these guys this week. But when you look at the pricing, there's only a $7 difference between Julio Jones and Calvin Ridley. I think a lot of people out there, the masses as we call them, are going to be on Ridley in this spot coming off that big game. Julio, box scores look okay. Nothing to write home about. There's other high-end options people are going to want to play as well. So I'm not going to say Julio has no ownership, but I think he could slide through the cracks here. And you couldn't draw up a better spot here than Julio Jones at home against the worst team against the wide receiver position, the Tampa Bay Bucks, giving it up to everybody here. Dream spot, smash spot, whatever you want to call it here. I think Julio Jones goes nuts. Great history as well. You want to add that in. Has played very well against this Tampa Bay defense over the last few seasons. Cupcake matchup, Julio Jones smashes here in Week 12. All right, it's time to take a look at my favorite play for Week 12. But before we do that, guys, we're going to run it back. Contest time. Fantasy points here on Yahoo on my Beast of the Week is going to win 1 free week of RotoGrinders Premium or a free RotoGrinders t-shirt. And that's us saying thank you to you for watching the video, for the thumbs up, for the support, guys. It means a lot. I understand that. Without you guys, there's no fantasy bar. So thank you in advance. Now, before we get out of here, let's take a look at that play. You know, Matt's the Beast of the Week. All right, Beast time. We still owe you a quarterback, and simple pairing here. We love Julio Jones. That means we love Matt Ryan. $33, this week's Beast of the Week. So love this spot for Atlanta.
What is going on, RotoGrinders? Dean here. It's Dean 7904 if you want to get all technical. I mean, it's 10:10 on the East Coast, 7:10 on the West Coast, 9:10 Tennessee time, which of course means it's time for the flagship show here at RotoGrinders. It's called GrindersLive, and it's sponsored by Yahoo. Joining me today, batting first, leading off, it's the man with the crickety chair. I believe that's Grant Neefer. I'm assuming that's your chair.
I got. Yeah, Dean just automatically throwing shade my way.
Well, you're a little more girthy, so I figured that would be.
Guys, Bear here back in the Fantasy Bar. 6 of my favorite wide receiver quarterback pairing, and of course, my favorite play of the week. Who is it?
Mortimer, we're back. Some tech issues there. I blame on that one on Crane. No time for pleasantries, unfortunately. We had some pleasantries off air. That was a good time. We had a fun conversation for sure. But Grant, you're with us? You're still here? Yes?
Yes, correct.
Good morning out there in California, correct?
Yes, sunny California, about a half mile from the beach. Going to make some lineups and then pass out on the beach.
That sounds like good times. That's typical Sunday for Grant. What's up, Tuttle? How's things?
First off, Grant, what does your swimsuit look like? And if it's a thong, could you post pictures on Twitter?
He's got that Borat thing going, I bet.
I don't wear anything but a thong. What do you think? What do you think the lower half of me looks like?
Could somebody please Photoshop Grant on Borat's picture? That'd be amazing.
That would be very nice.
Well played. All right, Tuttle. We have no more pleasantries. We got to talk to Slate boys.
Let's do it.
Let's like and subscribe. You guys are watching us on YouTube. Surely you like that 5-minute dead air. Yes, that was our best 5 minutes of the season for sure. We
Probably the
apologize
most
for that.
useful.
Yes, if they were lucky, they got to hear our off-air conversation. That was good times for sure. Like and subscribe over there. Of course, later on the show, we'll do our best to answer as many questions as possible, not just on YouTube, but in the RotoGrinders chat as well. Before we fully dive in as far as the slate, we do want to give a shout-out to those that are rocking the RG badge these days. Of course, we incentivize y'all if you finish the top 10 of certain contests around the industry. Oh, wait, is that a child? Do you hear a child? I get so easily rattled.
It's either a child or a cop car. I can't tell the difference between them now.
I wasn't sure if that was a ringtone, a child, or I'm just hearing things. I'm like, what is that? Yeah, so we're giving the shout-outs. Going to give the shout-outs to those out there that are rocking the RG badge. And again, if you guys finish the top 10 of certain contests around the industry, you get 1 month free of RG Premium. The shout-outs go as follows. Let's see if we can read these correctly. We got Rhino Dubes, CH77GM, Winners, 33462, 40-ounce man, J. Hay L 40, Kev Corner, and R-Ball Singer. Tuttle, not a very fun week as far as the lineup build. You're probably not going to like your lineups. Unless you have low expectations. I don't know. But we're all dealing with the same player pool. The value plays are crap, right? It's not a fun. You tell me. Give me a lay of the land as far as this slate today.
Well, what our favorite, or at least my favorite value play now has the Jay Ajayi is going to come in and manage all the early down work, basically talk that's going on right now. So I think honestly that's probably the biggest news point and the probably biggest deciding point on how we're going to start our lineups, because Sanders was a guy that I was kind of locking in for his price tag. Yeah,
what was the exact quote? Or was there a new quote today? It just went down as a
new one went down. Barry just tweeted out that Sal Palantonio is reporting that he expects an even timeshare between Miles Sanders and Jay Ajayi. Sanders will be more involved in the pass game, Ajayi in the run game, but he does expect total touches to basically be a split.
Okay. And was Sanders our quote-unquote, by default, best value play in this slate?
I think he was, yeah.
I mean, it's one of these really, really cheap receivers maybe. We're not really sure who it's going to be. And, of course, New England's being big jerks. We don't know what they're going to do as far as Sanu. As they said, Sanu woke up feeling better, so there's a chance he's going to play later on. There's only 2 late games. Of course, one of those late games is New England. Aguilar expected not to play today. Jeffrey expected to play. Jordan Howard expected to be out. But if Ajayi's going to play that Howard role, what does it matter anyway? TJ Hawkinson was downgraded to questionable for what it's worth. Grant, value plays?
There are some. Are any of them good? I don't know. Probably not. But it's still it makes it a more interesting slate. The fact that there's not really a whole lot of value plays that we love, but I think you find the value at wide receiver, and then you go more towards not extreme value like we've seen in the last few weeks that we've had with running backs, but more like in the 4 to low 5K range.
Yeah, we'll fully dive in. Of course, we're going to break it down position by position. We'll look first as far as quarterbacks. Quarterbacks, not a ton to necessarily love today. There's a lot of games that don't have high totals. There's a couple weather games that are lurking out there that I'm kind of keeping an eye on as far as what Roth has to say. I'll go ahead and drop this link in chat for y'all, but this will get updated, I presume, sometime before lock. As of right now, we currently have that Denver-Buffalo game at Orange. Windiest game of the week. Sustained and gust winds over 25. Temperatures cold but manageable around 40 degrees. And the 4 o'clock game as far as Dallas, New England. Latest high-res models. Roth is so busy he can't type out resolution. Is that resolution? What's high res? Is that resolution?
Yes, that's resolution.
That's common slang. Yeah. Come on, man.
Dude, I'm not a meteorologist. I don't know. That's resolution's like TV, like a picture. High
this
res
might be worse than the MT comment from last week.
Yeah,
who's MT? I don't know.
MT.
Who could it be?
Your Mangone is so busy he can't type out Michael Thomas. So latest high-res models as of Sunday morning show the heaviest of the rain holding off during game time, but still likely gets played wet at some point. So just kind of keep an eye on that, obviously.
Wow, why would he abbreviate AM?
Well, AM is a lot.
Yeah, why wouldn't he type out anti-meridium?
We all understand time, AM. And
Unbelievable.
PM.
We all understand resolution.
No, we don't. High-RES? That's not like a common phrase. I have not said that since 1972. But okay, we'll move on. Tuttle, everybody's going to play Matt Ryan.
Yeah.
I want a quarterback with legs, but some of the quarterbacks with legs aren't on the slate. He is facing Tampa. I mean, you kind of need the 303, especially on sites where you want that bonus as well, and he's probably going to give it to you. As I'm seeing right now, 18% ownership projected according to Jamino and his team. Obviously, these numbers are tinkered. The closer and closer we get to lock as well. And as far as cash games, he's one of the top guys on the board. Baker Mayfield, it feels like a get-right spot against Miami. We don't really have that cheap quarterback to make things work from a quarterback perspective. At least I don't think so for cash games. What do you think, Tuttle? Is it between one of those two?
Yeah, I have the cash tags, and I pretty much have Ryan and Baker as the guy on every site. I think Ryan's probably the guy you're spending on if you're trying to save a little bit. Even though he's not that much discounted, I do think Baker's a fine cash play as well.
Grant, is that kind of where you're at as well too? Because I'm kind of going back and forth.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. It's Ryan and it's Baker. Those are the two guys that I think are the very obvious plays. I mean, Ryan, there's very few ways they end up not getting to value there. And then Baker, just if you need a little bit of price savings. But I think it's Ryan far and away. It's the better play.
Give me some tournament guys.
Tournament guys, like Foles going up against Tennessee, put up a big outing last week. He's got a few guys to pair it with. You're looking for value. He's 5.4K. He's one of the cheapest possible, very good quarterbacks on the entire slate. We got Driscoll sitting there at 5.5K. I think he's a fantastic play there. Has potential upside. He has great wide receivers. He's probably going to throw the ball a decent amount here. He's got some legs. Both those two guys are probably the main tournament guys I'm looking at. Outside of that, we got Russell Wilson. It's slightly higher than Matt Ryan. That should come in at lower ownership, but we know that he absolutely has more upside than Ryan. In any given matchup here, he can absolutely crush. Some people are going to go to Winston. I'm not. It's just I don't see a massive amount of upside even against the Atlanta defense that was bad earlier on in the year, but has been good recently. And he's just a guy that's he doesn't show massive upside most of the time. It's very strange. He turns the ball over too much. Probably going to have that happen again today. One guy that I am looking at quite a bit is Carson Wentz. I know he doesn't have a whole lot of guys to throw to, but they're going to run a lot of two tight end sets, and he can get a whole bunch of yards that way. He can get a whole bunch of upside with some trash wide receivers along with Jeffrey in there and the tight ends. Like, there's absolutely some upside at 5.6K here. You know exactly who to pair him with, so it offers great tournament upside, considering if you pair him with Jeffrey and Goddard or Ertz and a guy like Mack or whatever, any one of the random wide receivers that are going to get started that are cheap. Wentz is one of the best tournament quarterbacks on the board here this weekend, and I don't think many people are going to go to him.
Your favorite pairing as far as with Foles?
Probably Chark, but Conley is probably my second favorite. He's been getting a decent amount of target share in the offense recently. He's 4.1K super cheap, but I can't argue with Chark, Conley, or DB.
Wilson, I know you're a Seattle guy. What's the deal with Gordon? Is he going to get some more rep this week?
I mean, I would assume so, but the problem is they may just end up running the ball a whole lot because that's what Pete Carroll does sometimes. It all depends on how the game flow ends up going. I could see it going multiple different ways, but, I mean, I got to expect that Gordon is literally Pete Carroll's archetype for a wide receiver. He's big, he's strong, he's fast. Carroll loves using those types of players at literally every single position. I have to assume that Gordon is probably going to be heavily involved in the offense, but he's not a guy that I would use as a one-off. I'm pairing him with Russell Wilson.
All right, jump in here, Tuttle. Some quarterbacks you like.
Yeah, Grant mentioned a lot of them. One I'm surprised he didn't mention one of his all-time favorites, Ryan Fitzpatrick. I think is actually like semi in play this week. I think one of the storylines that's going overlooked a bit is how undermanned or understaffed this Browns defense is going to be now with some of the suspensions. Olivier Vernon's still out. Myles Garrett's out. Those are the two best pass rushers on their team. Larry Ogunjobi is out as well with the suspension. So I actually think Miami is going to be able to move the ball on Cleveland a little bit, which makes me like that game a lot just from a game stack perspective, because we've already talked about how we like Baker. We've already talked about how we like Odell and Baker's weapons in general. So I do like that game from a game stack, and I think Ryan Fitzpatrick is a way to kind of stack that game a little bit more uniquely because most people will be on Baker. Other tournament options that Grant hasn't mentioned, I don't know if there are any, to be honest. Yeah, I got nothing else to
Yahoo
add.
specific, we got Josh Allen. I know there's some weather there.
He's always cheap on Yahoo.
Yahoo
Always
hates him.
cheap. Yep.
Yeah, and he's got some legs. He can get there that way, I suppose. I think he's, $24 or something over there.
Yep.
Do want to mention Yahoo's featured contest, of course, the baller, $200K to jump in there. $10 to get a piece, to get a single entry. Of course, you can get all the way up to 150. We still have it's just 29% overlay as of right now. So plenty of spots remaining. Of course, there's other sites. There's other contests on the site as well. But right now, there's currently overlay lurking. $10. You can turn that into 20K if you bank it. Is Allen in play today for you in Buffalo? Do we care about the weather so much? I don't like to freak out over weather, but gust at 25, and Brown is one of his big pieces, and he can hit him for a long shot. And of course, that's subdued to some degree, a certain percentage. I don't mean how to quantify it, but and also the total in that game is 36.5, and I wouldn't feel super confident betting the over. What are we doing here with that game? We just crossing it out total, or we like Brown cheap enough, or what?
I'm not
to say, yeah.
Yeah, you confused me with that one. I'm not crossing this game off completely, but I'm not playing either quarterback in this game. I think the best play in this game is Phillip Lindsay, but from a quarterback perspective, I don't have a whole lot of interest.
I'm pulling up our ownership percentages as of right now as far as quarterbacks and seeing everything pops. We got Ryan, Mayfield, Winston. Winston, he got hurt last week and he was immobile as is. And that Atlanta defense, Tuttle, is that Atlanta defense good now?
To be determined.
Well,
they're obviously getting a lot more pressure, which has helped. I'm not shying away from taking Bucs players against it, but I don't think they rate as, some. I do like the receivers still. I'll say that. Yeah, I don't know what else to say. I don't think they are the iteration that we're seeing. I don't think that's like a legitimate, sustainable thing. But they're a little bit better than one of the worst defenses in the league, which they were at the beginning of the season.
Is it somewhere in the? It's always the same. It's like they're better than they were at the beginning of the year. They're probably not as good as they have in the last 2 weeks. It's probably somewhere in the middle.
Yeah,
but,
exactly.
That's a lot going on. There's a lot of wiggle room there. Some people in the streets are still touting Trubisky because the matchup against the Giants. I've seen him thrown out there. I've seen Darnold against Oakland thrown out there at 1 or 3% for those guys. Are those total 1 and 150s? Are you that ambitious today, or just not with?
Not a ton of interest.
All right. Yeah.
I mean, we've seen him against funnel defenses before. I just no interest in Trubisky, but Sam Darnold's a little bit of a different story. Going up against Oakland, player funnel defense there. We've seen Darnold put up over 20 points each of the last 2 weeks. He can run a little bit here. It's just a good spot for him, and he may be hot trash, but he's hot trash that can get it done in this type of match here.
I just refreshed her ownership in live in time. Jamino is tinkering away as far as apparently you moved the needle there, Tuttle, as far as the Miles Sanders, or maybe just the Miles Sanders news move, because it went from 23% to 15%. Not really sure where those shares have been delegated now. Maybe to Brian Hill, he's about 13% as well too. Let's sort of jump the running back, and I guess the first thing that's interesting to point out is that there's not a ton of value this week, right, Tuttle? And so CMC's not going to get played a ton because we live in the world of a salary cap, and he's no for the worst. Yeah.
With the new news, what about Jay Ajayi?
Oh, how much is Jay Ajayi?
$3K.
He's kind of terrible. He doesn't catch footballs, but
does he not catch footballs?
I suppose there's probably actual video evidence of him doing it at some point, but that's not necessarily in his repertoire. Okay. I mean, you could talk me into it. He could definitely fall in the end zone twice. That's something he's capable of doing.
Yeah, I mean, and he's shown a little bit of receiving ability. Like, not a ton, but like
not this year, but it's a one game.
A Balaj level of receiving ability.
That usually when somebody comps you to Balaj, like you don't put that in the back of the DVD. It's not a rousing endorsement.
Balaj is going to eat this week. He is, just to spite
pumpkin pie, maybe. I don't know.
He's gonna eat. I know he is.
Oh my gosh! So it's not Laird season. I've been told. Twitter.com has told me it's Laird season. Is that not true?
No, it's not true. Look, I mean, I would not be all. I've already mentioned. I think Miami actually moves the ball pretty decently on Cleveland this week. I would not be at all surprised if Kalen Balaj falls in the end zone for 2 touchdowns.
Yeah,
I would not be surprised.
Are you grabbing some shares of Balaj?
Yeah, I will. I'll have some shares.
You're not clicking that button with a smile, though. You're just clicking it.
No.
How about the guys at the top? So, Kamara is popping as our most heavily owned player at home versus Carolina. Obviously, a really nice matchup there. Henry against Jacksonville has been pretty dreadful against the run as well. The eye test says that Le'Veon Bell is terrible, but he's okay and he's getting enough reps. And, you give the guy the ball enough times, eventually he's going to get there, I suppose. And then, of course, there's CMC, who's just – it's not a great matchup. He's super expensive, and we live in the world of a salary cap, and I like him. But I don't know how much I'll get because, again, it's really constricting in the rest of our lineup. The dudes at the top, how you figuring him out?
Yeah, I think it's an interesting week in general. I think a lot of these guys have some warts on them. You mentioned Le'Veon Bell in there. I think he's one of the more intriguing options for me. I think public perception is really low on him. He saw a season low 54% snap rate last week, something around there. And honestly, I had kind of brushed it off as not a big thing. But then looking back at game logs, because I kind of figured some of it was due to a blowout. But looking back at game logs, Bilal Powell was in there in the third series and just dominating touches in that third series. So it wasn't like he just got spelled at the end of the game. He still got 20 touches in that game, which is obviously still fine for his price tag. But I do think there could be some concern. But also, if that drives his ownership down, that almost makes me want to play him in cash, not in cash, in tournaments, just because I do think he does have 20 to 25 touch upside, and it's a pretty solid matchup. Weather's expected to be poor for this game, so they could take to the ground a little bit more often even. So Bell's a guy I like in tournaments, but I do think there's some hesitancy there just because of his low snap rate last week. And then Alvin Kamara, I think, is the very interesting guy. He's the guy that I think everybody – or a lot of people, myself, I have him as one of the top values or just one of the top running back options this week. But he has to be a really good tournament fade. I mean, he just has to be. If we always know that Kamara's biggest feature, his biggest upside is in the passing game. Is he going to have a whole lot of upside this week? I'm not going to. I would take the under on 10 receptions, which is what I think he's got. He got last week. He got 8 receptions the week before. He could find the end zone. That's certainly possible. But this reeks as a Latavius Murray troll game. They get up early.
I made a Murray FanDuel lineup before the show. He's 5'6" over there. I like it. I like that. And I have Kamara on my cash games right now just because he kind of sort of fits and he makes sense. But I'm with you. And I feel like we don't get a peak Kamara game unless he just breaks a 70-yarder, which is certainly possible too. And, we know that the matchup isn't necessarily – I mean, whatever. It's fine. The matchup's good. But, how many reps is he going to get? How much do they need him to actually do out there? And, of course, anything can happen. It's the NFL. They could be down. We saw they got walloped against Atlanta at home last week. I suppose that's repeatable, but it's probably not going to happen. Jump in here, Grant, as far as the RBs at the top. If Grant
first I want to say something. Am I not with you? Am I back?
Yeah, you're with us. The floor is yours.
So what do you think Balaj's touchdown share for the Dolphins is so far this season?
I mean, how many touchdowns have they scored?
They've scored 15. He has 3 of them. That's
20. Hold on.
That is 20.
20%.
Yeah. So fun fact there. And if you actually expect them to score points, it's reasonable.
Not fun.
It is fun.
Fact. Continue.
On this week, it's fun comparatively. But up at the top, I don't really have a massive take. Obviously, CMC is fantastic every single week. But you can play Kamara, Chubb, Barkley, Elliott, Jacobs, or Fournette. I don't have a clear lean. Even Henry is not far off. I don't have a clear lean anywhere. I think Chubb is probably my top option just because it's going up against that terrible Miami defense. And the game script and the matchups for Chubb just really haven't been great for many weeks. And he's a guy that can absolutely go for 180 yards in any given matchup here. I think Chubb's probably my favorite, followed by Kamara, followed by McCaffrey, followed by Zeke in tournaments. But honestly, paying up at the top, I'm just going to mix and match guys with having a little bit heavier amount of ownership on Chubb.
Anyone playing Barkley?
I think he's my favorite tournament option of the week.
Really? Okay. Yeah. I want to hear it. I want to hear the pitch because I'm bitter. I had him last time when he had 13 carries.
You just gave the pitch.
He was so terrible last time.
Everyone's so bitter. Everyone hates him. We know how good he is. He's shown his talent in the past. We know what upside he has. This Bears just got shredded by the corpse of Todd Gurley. Their run defense is vulnerable at times. Saquon provides upside in the passing game as well. He had the bye week, so it's very possible he was suffering ankle and shoulder injuries. Very possible the bye week helped him in both those areas. So yeah, I like Saquon a lot. He's 7,900. Just think of a time that we've been able to play Saquon Barkley for 7,900 in the past couple of years. And
in the last since he's been in the league, outside of the game he got injured, he's had one sub 15-point game his entire career. It was last game, and it was against a very good run defense in the Jets. He always gets 25 points pretty much every single week. He's had a few random outliers this year, one of which he didn't have a touchdown, and he's going up against a team that funnels targets to the running back. I'm right there with you, Tuttle.
Tuttle, you said you liked Lindsey earlier. Expand on that.
Yeah, Denver said he's going to be the go-to guy now. They said that prior to last week. It was true. Saw an increased snap rate right in the 60% range. He doubled Royce Freeman's carries. We know Buffalo's defense is all about stopping the pass. They give up yards on the ground. So that is actually a pretty good ground matchup for him. He has some upside in the passing game as well. So I think you could argue that Phillip Lindsay is the best 5K back on DraftKings in that price range if we don't trust Miles Sanders now. I think it was going to be Miles Sanders, but I think you could very easily make the argument that Lindsay is the safer play of the two now.
Yeah, well, you mentioned we were talking about what's his name earlier, Bell. On Yahoo, I'm kind of on him because he's $20. I feel like I kind of have to play him over there, which I'm not happy about it. But again, he's $20 and it kind of makes things work. Fournette's kind of cheap too, depending on where we're shopping. How do we feel about Lenny?
I don't have a strong take on him. I'll let Grant take over that take. I think he's a good play, but I don't have an extremely. I know a lot of people love him. I'm not like that.
He's due for a touchdown, I'm told.
That's the talk.
Is Grant muted or something? Or
no. I was letting you guys finish talking, but Fournette saying he's due for a touchdown. It's ridiculous, but he's always due for a touchdown. He has just a massive target share. He has a massive rush share. He's been taking the ball so much, and yes, last week it didn't work out that well, but it was largely game script dependent there. Outside of that, he should be in play every single game. So he's probably going to end up with 19 to 25 rushes here. He'll probably end up with 5 to 10 targets. He's going not too overlooked. Over on FanDuel, I think he's going to be very heavily owned. Over on DK, less so. Like I said, there's of the top, 6 highest salary guys, I can't find, or 7 guys, I can't find a drastic disparity. I'm just going to play all of them and probably forgo Kamara mostly because he's going to be by far the highest owned.
I'm working my way around ownership. Maybe we can pull it up here on the screen share as well. And yeah, we're seeing Kamara at the top. I guess I got to refresh this one too. I had a different page up before, and Sanders was 23%. Let's see what Sanders is now. I'm not sure if that was on DK or if that was on Yahoo, to be honest. Let's see. We got Henry at 19%, Bell at 16%, McCaffrey 16%. Yeah, Sanders dropping to 15%, like I said before.
So here's the thing. We just got a Shefty tweet that it's now iffy if the Eagles will have Alshon Jeffrey.
Okay.
How do they not just
Split
give Miles?
Sanders out.
Yeah. How does Sanders not just get 6 to 10 receptions in this spot?
Because he might not be on the field enough.
Well, have him play a wide receiver, like a scat back or something like that.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he lines up as a receiver. Like I don't know. I'm coming here. That news report honestly makes me a little bit more excited to get back on the Sanders train. I just don't see how they can't just get him. I mean, Ertz is going to eat too, but both Ertz and Sanders would be, I think, guys that you would like. And we talked about Wentz, or Grant talked about Wentz and wanting to stack Wentz earlier. When we're stacking, we like highly concentrated offenses. This offense is going to be a very, very concentrated offense. So yeah, I do like that stack now that I think about it.
Well, there's Matthews out there too. I mean, Greg Ward, I assume, was going to dress. They called him up. I think he's going to dress, depending on all these body parts. How much do they hate JJ Arcega-White? Is he just terrible? Because wasn't he a rookie coming in with some promise, and he just can't get in the field, right? I suppose he's not good. I guess that's the problem.
He's going to have to. He was playing. I was watching the end of that game. He was playing at the end of the game finally over Matt Collins. I think they finally started to have it with Matt Collins, who's much better special teamers than an actual receiver. So I would be surprised if Arcega-Whiteside's not, one of the starting receivers.
We mentioned Ertz, Goddard. They're going to have 2 tight end sets. I think the stats are they're one of the teams that roll out 2 tight ends more than most. Correct, Tuttle?
Yes.
All right. Is there any 5% or under running backs that are kind of sort of interesting that are just sort of lost in the shuffle? I feel like Chris Carson is not going to be owned. Like, it's not a great matchup, but Carroll's really stubborn, and if the game dictates it, or if they're not getting blown out, he might still see 25 touches. How is New England going to score 26 points? That's another team that has no receivers. Maybe James White catches 9 balls. That's certainly possible. If Edelman's not catching 15. What's your read on that situation as far as New England, Tuttle?
Yeah, I mean, I think James White's probably okay, so Sanu's sounding a little bit more iffy. If you thought Sanu was actually questionable, then I would say that James White was probably the safest play.
He's going to be on a snap count too, which with Belichick could mean 4.
Yeah, so prior to this news, I was under the impression that White would be kind of the safest option in terms of grabbing exposure to the New England passing attack. Now I'm kind of fine with still playing N'Keal Harry. I think he's kind of safe at this point. So yeah, but I still like James White.
Cut you off just for a second if you don't mind. You mentioned the Harry, right? And he's the late game and lineup construction and pivots and all that. And if the only thing you have left is Harry and the new dresses, then you're nervous. But again, there might be a pitch count of some sort. Is it safer to go with a Hearns or a Patrick early to sort of lock in? Probably something terrible, but maybe something okay. How are you handling that if we get no more information?
Yeah, and see, this is the conversation that was coming up. I've been talking to a lot of people doing their King of the Beach lineups this week and the finals this week, and they don't have late swap. So that's why I was kind of in can you play Harry? Can you not? I think you can. I think he's still the best, even with the news we have now, which sounds like Sanu's very iffy, which Sanu's probably on a snap count if he's going to play at all. I think you can play Harry, and I think he is the best option in that price range.
Grant, your thoughts on this situation? I think Grant's on a snap count today.
Oh, gosh. It cut out literally the second you asked the question, so I was waiting for you to ask the question. Guessing we're still talking about Harry?
Sure.
I'm not really planning, but you asked for a sub 5% owned running back a while back. Jalen Samuels is projected at 2%. Why?
He's fully priced up, and it is a good matchup, and he's probably going to get.
Is he fully priced up? 7.2K going up against the worst run defense in the league. A guy that's heavily involved and can end up with 13 or so receptions.
Okay.
Chalk week when he was 6.3K, where he ended up with 13 receptions, didn't really pan out.
He was
as well
3K that week.
Yeah, I guess it was 6K, 6.3K.
Yeah, that was he got a big raise. Yeah, but you're right. He can catch the ball 7 or 8 times because Pittsburgh's another team
13 times, and he can get 2 touchdowns.
It's a little ambitious. The 2 touchdowns are ambitious. He can.
Is it against Cincinnati?
Well, I mean, a lot of people are rostering Cincinnati as their defense today. I'm not sure if you've heard.
That's Cincinnati's horrible versus the run.
Well, just horrible. You could period. But yeah.
I mean, yeah, they're horrible against the run. They're horrible against pass catching running backs. So horrible. And Samuels is a talented back. He hasn't done much with his actual rushing attempts over the last 3 weeks. 5 attempts, 26 yards, 14 attempts, 29 yards, 8 attempts, 10 yards. He's averaging like 2 yards per rush. He's averaging pretty much the same as Balaj, which is saying something. Again. Now he gets a matchup versus the worst run defense in the league. Like, he hasn't had easy ones. The Rams aren't an easy one. We just saw what happened with Indy last week against whoever it was. And Cleveland, that's a little bit of an outlier, but he hasn't had the easiest matchups. I think Samuels, if you want a low-owned guy, Samuels can absolutely go for 30 points.
I have a hot take.
All right, fire away.
Benny Snell is a better point per dollar play than Jalen Samuels.
Who?
Is that a hot take? How much is Snell? What's the difference in price?
I would not play Snell on DraftKings. I'll put that out there.
Mm-hmm.
But he's the absolute min price on FanDuel. He got some again, take this with a grain of salt, but he has some beat reporter hype surrounding him, saying that they think he's going to be the guy that gets the majority of the running back work, true running back work. Again, where he's min price, I think it's not the worst thing in the world to have 5% exposure to him. I don't think he's some excellent play, but it's a matchup driven play. And if you believe, that beat reporters report that he's going to see a majority of the running back touches, then I could see it.
$10 on Yahoo as well. Give me is there any flop leg coming for Brian Hill, or that's just not happening?
He's in play.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't want to hear that. Like, I want to hear, should I play it? Of course he's in play. I can click on him.
How good of a play was he last week?
Well, he's a worse play this week because Tampa's, a more of a receiving funnel than a running back funnel.
Yeah, that's true, but he can get work in the receiving game. It's still it's an interesting spot. I'm probably not going with a whole lot of them, but I will have some ownership in him.
I mean, just because salary and the slate sort of pushes me in that direction, but I don't necessarily want to play him. That's sort of my take. I'm not seeking him out, but I might land on him just because.
So I just pulled up his snap count. Unsurprisingly, Davis Maddock told me his wrong snap rate last week. And he was hyping up as he was trying to hype him up earlier to me. He was saying there was an 80% snap rate for Brian Hill last week. That is completely false. He had a 60% snap rate last week. Obviously had a touchdown called back due to a holding penalty. I still think he's in play. But I would guess they probably use Kenyon Barner more as a receiver if they fall behind. Which would be concerning, but I think he's marginally in play.
You got to get Quadre Allison some run. You got to see what you have in Quadre. I don't know. They gave it the ball a couple times last week. Let's talk receivers. Obviously, some big names at the top. Julio should erupt here against Tampa. Beckham against Miami. Finally, a positive matchup. Wild on Yahoo. We have Beckham's actually cheaper than his teammate Jarvis Landry, which is just weird to say. Jarvis Landry revenge game, of course. MT, you guys know about MT? He's a strong
Mike
player.
Thomas to the Rams.
Michael Thomas. Of course, the Tampa guys against Atlanta, probably on the chase against the Falcons, presumably from behind. How do you parse through these top names here, Grant, as far as receivers?
I mean, Michael Thomas is clearly the top guy in terms of raw points and probably a better point per dollar play than a lot of the other top guys. But I think I can't really separate Jones, Evans, Thomas too much. They're all Thomas is constricted to play, but Jones and Mike Evans are in a great spot in a high total game with getting massive target share. Jones going up against the worst pass D in the league. Evans getting 10-plus targets, and he's failed each of the last 2 weeks. And by fail, I still mean double-digit points, but he's the one of the few guys on the slate that can end up with 45 points in any given matchup. And if Atlanta's defense is what we thought it was before the bye week, then he could be in for a massive, massive, massive game. Outside of them, Lockett, I'm probably not paying that price tag. Godwin, I just prefer Evans, but he's fine. OBJ, with everyone wanting to play him, there's a lot of ways this game can go where he doesn't get much work at all. Up at the top, it's probably in terms of point per dollar, Thomas, Evans, Julio, than the rest.
Yeah, I mean, they made a point to say Beckham's going to get his shares, and he's been getting them of late for what it's worth. And like, it only takes one, in theory. Like, we haven't really seen it this year, except with the exception of like week 2. It's been a while. Beckham's another guy. Beckham hasn't gotten the end zone in a while. I want to say Fournette, maybe Julio's another guy, maybe Kamara as well. There's a whole bunch of guys that just feels like they haven't scored in a bit. Give me the cash game and tournament perspective as far as the guys up top total.
Why do they not just feed Beckham here?
Yeah,
because they'll be up by 20 points.
Doesn't matter. Like, Mayfield, this is how like he padded his stats in college, right? Picked on some terrible teams.
They like we know Odell's a fairly big personality, right? Like we know he wants to get his, and he's done fairly well this season in terms of not speaking out and being too disappointed with his production. But this seems like a spot like you can do whatever you want. Why not feed the guy that you paid to come into town?
Well, Jarvis revenge. That's why.
Yeah, the Juice revenge. Juice has been a better fantasy producer than Odell. He has Juice is having a good year as is. I want.
Are you trying to make Juice happen, or just I was not aware Juice was his nickname?
Yeah, you didn't know Juice was his nickname?
No, that was already taken. I thought that nickname was retired, to my knowledge.
No, it's Juice.
I wasn't aware of this. All right, fair enough.
Anyways, I've been trying to talk myself off of Odell, and I just can't. I think
I've done the same.
Yeah, I just think he smashes here. Julio, man, F that guy.
Well, you like Ridley or you don't like anybody?
I mean, I still think you play. Tampa Bay's pass defense is so bad. I still think you play Julio, but it's not the Julio of old. I think he is. I'm not sure if I'll do it in my main tournament lineup.
What do you mean
but
it's not
I
the
think
Julio
he's a fine.
Old? What's a mountain right there? It's not like erupted in a while. That's Julio Jones.
How many times have we said this? This is literally the Julio of old. Not getting too many touchdowns, due for some positive regression. It's getting a ton of targets, is a incredibly talented wide receiver, is getting stopped at the 1 to 2 yard line. This is exactly the Julio of old. This is exactly the Julio we've seen his entire career, and this is exactly the Julio that's going to randomly go off for a 40-burger. And this week is potentially it against Tampa Bay, a team where at one point he had more touchdowns versus them over a 3-year span than he had versus every other team combined.
I see Mangone in the chat, and on our podcast, Mangone was citing the 7-year data of Julio Jones against Atlanta, against Tampa. It's like, what did he do 7 years ago? This is like the same like T.Y. Hilton nonsense, but go ahead.
So the reason why I say it's not the Julio of old is because he only has a 22 target share this season, which is not good.
Yeah, it's not good, but who's not in that offense anymore? Sanu and Hooper?
Yeah, and what happened last week without either of those guys?
Oh, sample size against a team that suppresses targets to tight ends.
What happened? What happened last week without either of those guys? I don't remember.
He went for 14 points, which is literally what he's done 6 times this season. Did 6 times last season.
Hey! He had a 25% market share. There you go.
Did 8 times.
It went up. There you go.
Tunnel's like Dante Wilder here, Grant. You're down for 10.
But he cut out. I didn't even hear what he said.
See, I don't want to be the guy that says Julio's a bad play. I don't want that on my resume.
Julio's probably going to crush our soul like he does every time he's chalk. But that one random time where he goes off of 40 points, which happens every year, is going to change things.
Man, Brian Hill's just going to stroll in for all those touchdowns.
That's what's going to happen.
And there's not going to be any passing touchdowns.
Yeah, Julio's going to get stopped at the 1 yard line 3 times, and Hill's going to pop into the end zone after.
I'm pulling up the ownership as of right now. We have Julio 28% at the top, then Beckham, then Thomas, MT to some, Evans, Ridley, Parker, Edelman. Edelman's Yahoo specific, $20 for Edelman. How do you not play that? I love that spot. Like he's going to catch at least 10 passes, right, Tuttle? Like is that too ambitious?
Yeah, see, that's the other thing. Like the other perfectly fine strategy is let everybody else try to pick the low price Patriots receiver that's going to meet value. Well, you could just play Julian Edelman in his 10 catches and 100 yards. Yeah,
I'll take that. That's fine. I'm good with that. Can I play him and Harry together, or that's a bad idea?
I mean, you can.
Yeah, it's not advised though. I can hear your voice.
Henry is cheap enough where it's fine. If you want to get real weird, and you really do think Sanu is going to be out or on a snap count, Jacoby Myers, baby.
Yeah, I've heard that name thrown out there. Any interest in Gage?
Yes.
Any Gage love?
Yeah, well, if Tuttle thinks that Julio's terrible.
That's not what he was saying. He was making it very clear that he doesn't think he's terrible.
But Gage is still going to be heavily involved in this offense. He's going up against Tampa Bay. Yeah. What about Chris Conley? If you want someone cheap,
no.
I like the Conley call.
Yeah. Really, Dean? Really?
I asked you which receiver, Chris Conley?
Yeah,
averaging 7.5 receptions over the last 4 weeks.
Just
7.5 targets.
What is a 5 week? I guarantee that 5th week he did not have 7 or 8 targets. You cut it off for a reason.
Yeah, because it's a different offense and he's getting heavily involved. I don't know if you know this, but target shares change based on who's in the offense, and target shares change drastically throughout the season. But at the beginning of the season, he also did have 7 targets too. So
did you know Chris Conley and Nick Foles have the Kansas City connection?
Oh, but does this mean they showered together too? Is that what we're talking about?
When Nick Foles,
well, if he did, then Conley probably didn't feel great about himself.
I actually had somebody send me an article, an NFL.com article about this. Yeah, it says wide receiver Chris Conley signs close ties with Nick Foles. And here's a quote: Nick Foles has been a friend of mine for a long time. 3 years ago, I said, "Hey, you're going to be a starting quarterback someday. When you are, let's make it happen. Let's make this run." Boom.
All right, I'm sold. I take everything back I said on Chris Conley. How dare I besmirch? Give me your favorite cheap receiver, Grant.
It might actually be Conley.
Before that article was written, or before it was Tuttle cited it, or that was your guy?
You mean when I was saying Conley multiple times and how he's going to get 7 to 8 targets in this game? Well, I mentioned him 3 other times in this show that you just besmirched.
I won't besmirch. I don't besmirch.
I need to Google what besmirch means because I'm fairly certain you do.
Frown upon.
Do.
We got about 12 minutes or so before we step aside and make way for
to damage the reputation of and the opinion of others. That's besmirching.
Yeah, well, yeah. So MT won't qualify, but you'll tell the people besmirch means. Come on, Tuttle. You know what besmirch is. Come on, this is not that's like a 6th grade word, isn't it?
Well, Dean, not everyone taught 6th graders like you.
Fair enough.
Yeah, that's fair.
I'm so condescending over here. I'm a highfalutin in my chair and. Besmirch. Anybody else? We haven't really talked about Lockett. You can't talk about everybody, obviously. Metcalf is super high up there, but of course in tournaments he's definitely low, around 6%. If you think the Jets do something, I don't hate Robbie Anderson. I don't mind Allen Hurns. Like, he's getting opportunity. He's in the field for like 95% of the snaps the last 2 weeks. And if you think they're on the comeback there against Cleveland, we talk about Cleveland's defense being vulnerable. I'm probably going to have some Allen Hurns. I'm not happy about it, but again, salary cap reasons make everything else work. If you think Trubisky's not the worst quarterback of all time, Allen Robinson's certainly interesting, I suppose, and he's going to be about 5% owned. Let's talk about tight ends, Tuttle. This is a fun conversation.
Let's talk about baby.
Let's talk about you and me.
Me. Let's talk about all the good things.
Did you edit yourself all the way? Is that you just give like
and the bad things that may be.
Oh man.
Tight ends, EIEIO. Vance McDonald, where he's cheap, is in play, is a cash game option.
Is he going to get 2 touchdowns, Tuttle? You haven't been wrong about this yet.
I don't know if I can claim the 2 touchdowns this week, but I do think he is. I don't know the 3.4 to 3.6K range on DraftKings for tight ends is kind of difficult to sort through. I think Gesicki, Vance McDonald, and Cam Brate are all strong options. If you want to go up to the 3.9, Noah Fant is an okay option as well. I think on FanDuel or where you can easily get him, you just play Zach Ertz because we mentioned it already.
Goddard's the better play.
Goddard's a good play. I'm not going to take a stand against that.
I mean, so without Jackson, who's been better?
Got Zach Ertz the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, out of the last 4 weeks, though, they're at similar numbers. Like,
Yeah,
yes,
Grant always has the perfect sample size for his arguments.
Or in the last 5 weeks.
I only want to be the last 2 weeks.
However, on a point per dollar basis, all season long, it's Goddard.
What about your boy Hollister?
I mean, is he my boy? I'm more of a Disley fan, but
he's not playing, and you like Seattle.
Yeah, he is not playing. Hollister is fine. We've seen Russell Wilson like to throw the tight end pretty much the entirety of his career, going to random guys like Luke Wilson, not the actor. But Hollister is going up against Philly. Like, I don't know if that's really the right spot. I think now that offense is like a little bit too saturated with Josh Gordon in there too. I don't know if I want to go Hollister.
We have a thought as far as I want to turn over the chat. Chat's gonna have some good things in their mind for sure. If you guys are watching on YouTube, feel free to like and subscribe. That helps us in the analytics. Leave a comment. Say something. I think that helps in analytics. Say Grant needs to get better internet. Say anything you want to say.
I do need to get better internet, son of a biscuit internet. I don't understand. I have 100, 200 up, down, and yet it just decides to cut out.
Leave your favorite salt and pepper song in chat. I'm sure Tuttle would appreciate that. We know which one his is. Grant, give me 30 seconds on defenses.
30 seconds on defenses? Well, there's Atlanta, the best defense in the league recently. But probably not going there. We got Broncos and a weather game that aren't too expensive there, 2.4K. We got the Saints going up against Kyle Allen. That's fine. I'm not playing the Bengals. That is not a very good idea.
Play the Bungles. No Pouncey? Pounce all over that at 2,100.
Oh, boy.
I mean, there's still the bank.
But Atlanta, $11 on Yahoo. You can play them there. Cleveland, $16. But yeah, Cincinnati's like what, 1.5 or 1.8 on DK, and yeah, it's pennies are pinched this week, so that's why Tuttle. People are playing the Bengals, right?
People named Tuttle are playing the Bengals.
Yeah, I'm probably playing them too. I'm not happy about it, but it's happening. Trying to refresh as far as weather. We haven't got that just yet. Stay tuned.
Play the Jags instead of the Bengals.
The Jags?
Yeah.
No.
I mean, they're going up against that Tannehill guy.
He gets sacked a bit.
I mean, like, there isn't a whole bunch of great cheap defenses. What about the Bucs? I mean, like, it's not the worst idea in the world. Everyone gets so excited about Matt Ryan and what he's going to do today, but it's not quite a guarantee that they're going to do something. When they shut down the run, so there's going to be a high volume of passes. That means the sacks could potentially be there, and the interceptions could potentially be there. They can get a pick six. I mean, we've seen them put up a big game versus a similar type situation in the Rams that were just chucking the ball the entire game, and they ended up with 15 fantasy points. Even if they do give up a decent amount of actual real-life points, their defense can score quite a bit. I think that, like, if you're going to pay for a cheap defense, don't go Bengals. Go with the Bucs.
Tuttle, give me your favorite, like, game stack or correlation play, something like that.
I will do my favorite lower owned game stack is the Miami side of Miami Cleveland.
And who do you like?
I like Devontae Parker. I like Gesicki. I think you could do Ballage. I wouldn't play Ballage with the passing attack. I would use him as a one-off. But yeah, from passing side, it would be Fitzpatrick, Parker, Gesicki. You could throw Hearns in there. They're all viable cheap options.
He's the fourth. He's so cheap, man, and he's on the field. That's the most important. Like, you can't do anything in the sidelines. And he at least gets on the field, and that's more than Laird does.
Yeah.
All right. A bunch of questions are loading up here in chat. They're asking me what is up and down. It's not the contra code. It's the speed. I'm aware of that. Come on. Don't try to – yeah, I'm aware of this nonsense. Yeah, they're trying to get
someone said get 5G. This is 5G internet.
I don't know what the difference between Gs are.
Fifth generation. That's an acronym I would understand.
That's a marketing ploy. Like, that's all nonsense. It's a 5G TV as opposed to what? It's marketing. That's all it is. OBJ or Edelman, DK Cash, Tuttle. What say you?
OBJ.
Grant, Geis versus Sanders in tournaments.
Sanders.
Tuttle, you like Caden Smith for the minimum?
Yeah, we forgot to mention him. My Spoolcast compadres would be mad at me for not mentioning Caden Smith. I don't like him, no. Could you do worse things than play a guy who's going to be on the field? Yeah.
Hey, what if Hawkinson doesn't play? Can we play the outlaw, Jesse James at 2-6?
He has 2 touchdown upside.
Well, I mean, I guess in any possible, it's like the 99 percentile outcome, I suppose.
Well, I don't think he's played 99 games. I'm pretty sure he's had 2 touchdown games. And this is a better game script for him.
Tuttle, we need a cheap receiver on FanDuel for cash, 5.5 or less. Can you help him out?
5.5 or less on FanDuel.
Sit on that one. I'll ask Grant a couple questions here as you're kind of figuring that one out. Grant, Prescott, Driscoll, or Darnold?
Driscoll.
Sanders or Ballage for cash?
It's still me?
Yeah.
Probably Sanders.
I'm sticking with you until Tuttle kind of jumps in.
It's probably N'Keal Harry.
Yeah, you don't feel good about that though. You don't in cash. I don't feel good about it.
Yeah.
Over there. I think you could do better on FanDuel for the cash build. At least I didn't land on that. DK Cash, McDonald or Goddard? Well, you started singing, Tuttle, so I guess you like McDonald.
Yeah.
No, it's Goddard. It's
Goddard.
Goddard.
Vance. Yeah, Vance will make you dance.
Goddard. It's absolutely Goddard.
Vance. He'll make you dance.
Nobody's ever had such a resounding.
You want to do a truly chugging bet?
Oh gosh, you do not want to see my lack of chugging abilities.
Oh, I absolutely do. You can't be worse than Mangone.
You have nothing to worry about though, assuming if you're correct, if you have confidence in your McDonald call.
It's not like I don't think Goddard's a good play though.
I'll give you 5 points.
Oh, there you go. Lock it up.
Okay.
Now. There.
Well, I have to chug a Truly.
Yeah, or a White Claw.
All right.
Or a White Claw.
A Truly at 9 a.m. That's gonna be fun. Chugging a Truly at 9 a.m.
It's like 90% water and 5% alcohol.
5%. Yeah. All right. Don't want to get sued. Let's say cash, Lindsey and Vance versus Sanders and Olsen. Whoever wants to answer that one, feel free to chime in.
Lindsey and Vance.
Let's see. We got Bobby saying he likes the Bengals today. He's got a good chunk of them. I think they're going to be one of the more popular. I mean, as far as ownership, I think the Bengals were one of the top. They're kind of popping. Rank these dudes, Tuttle. We got Evans, Julio, and Godwin for cash. Rank those 3.
Julio, Evans, Godwin.
DK Cash. Who's playing DK Cash? Tuttle, I know you definitely are. Is it still 3 running backs and the 3 receivers? Or not necessarily? You make that noise.
I'm leaning that way, but I think it's viable to do 4 wide receivers.
Interesting. Yeah. I mean, at least my brain, automatically, I just say I'm going to play 3 running backs and that's just where I go. But interesting you say that's actually in play this week. Grant, Fournette versus Henry.
Fournette for tournaments, Henry probably for cash.
Well, cheap flex, Tuttle, Ajayi or Tim Patrick? Oof.
Tim Patrick's gotten some hype this week, but I can't do that. I can't do Tim Patrick. I'll go Ajayi, even though I don't like it.
There is heavy win.
Ajayi's getting a 50% share of the offense.
Well,
reported by Sal Palantonio.
He's $3K.
Who's like 150 years old.
I was going to say, is he like hundreds?
Yeah,
I guess
who knows? Who knows how accurate he is?
Yeah,
I mean,
and also,
people in their
Peterson's
hundreds have done smart things before.
DK Cash, Tuttle, Moore or wait? Okay, yeah, Ryan with Moore, or Baker and OBJ.
Man, I'm going Baker OBJ.
Guys, by the way, we didn't mention Kareem Hunt at all.
All right. Okay.
But if you're taking Baker, Kareem Hunt's an excellent pairing for him. Like, if you're stacking up Cleveland and you're bringing it back with the Dolphins, play Kareem Hunt.
Sanders or Hill? He was in. I had Sanders. This is FanDuel Cash, Tuttle. I had Sanders in my cash lineup. I might have to move that. I'm not really sure. That's where it was earlier. I guess you probably don't know what you're going to do either. But Sanders versus Hill in cash?
Sanders for me.
Yeah. Say with lots of confidence. Tuttle. Oh, no, this is for Grant. Let's step aside and get out of here. Of course, you got to make way for the premium shows. Thank you again for watching us on YouTube. We try to answer as many questions as possible. Feel free to like and subscribe. Grant, you got Hearns or Ajayi in the flex?
Ajayi.
Tuttle, give me a bold call.
2 touchdowns, Kalen Balazs.
Grant, see that and raise it.
Hunt and Conley combined for 50 points.
Ambitious. He's Grant. He's Tuttle. I'm Dean. Thanks for watching. Enjoy football. We're out of here. Holler!
See you, kids.